I appreciate the offer, but it doesn't look like we need a respite. What we need is to start generic fantasy adventure. A D&D 5e actual play, the second season, the 17th episode. This is the first of what will probably be 3 episodes set in Matt Colville's MCDM Strongholds and Followers. We have made strongholds. We have gathered followers. We have not seen those strongholds or met those followers since we initially hired them. This will involve the warfare subsection, which will probably be episodes 2 and 3, aka 18 and 19. I think, who knows? If you are watching this simply for the how to play the MCDM arc, welcome. I don't know how you found us, but welcome. Leave a comment in the YouTube section below. If you want to get on Discord, what does Matt say? It's in the doobly-doo. The link is in the doobly-doo. Yes. It's been a while since I've seen one of his videos. I mean, I've seen all of the Run in the Game series. And interestingly, I found out this week that the actual play GM who I respect the most, Brendan Lee Mulligan, also watches Matt Colville because he directly references Matt Colville in the latest Adventuring Party. Meanwhile, I am joined by Grimdark James as Kithric Sussblade, Laurent Danger as Gwyneria Leafwind, Bearded Jalapno as Tanira, who, although maybe she has a different name now, it's not clear, and Neo Buzzard as Godric Deepbottom. The 4 of you, plus your dragon Sparky, are with Gwyneria's mother and father getting breakfast in the Archmage Shanine's kitchen and pantry. It has been a sort of joyous evening having this cook-off. Everyone is exhausted after either weeks of capture or weeks of traveling through the coldest territories of the north with bleak outlook and little equipment to fighting a black dragon and freeing the empire. You have been recognized by the Emperor, who has also declared that your dragon Sparky is indeed a hero of the Empire. Sad news awaits you. A news sheet has been left for you, and Janine is sitting in a drawing room quietly. I wouldn't say that she is sheepish, but I think it's clear that given her moral responsibility in the destruction of Gwyneria's homeland and direct involvement in capturing her mother and somewhat less direct involvement in also capturing her father, who came to free Mom, she is quietly waiting for honored guests to get the hell out of her house. It's not that she doesn't like you guys, but it's uncomfortable being here with symbols of her failure. And more importantly, she has a gold ring now on one of her fingers, a symbol that she is married. The news sheet indicates that the Emperor has revealed his secret marriage to the Archmage Janine, the upraising of a crown prince, the recognition of Dragonhold as a free and independent territory. It includes a longer speech that the Emperor has given. You recognize all of the lines that he gave about what a hero is, but it is expanded upon dramatically. It is not exactly what the Emperor said. It definitely looks like a newspaper editor got a hold of it and decided to spruce it up. Also waiting for you on the table is a scroll from the Emperor with Tanira's name on it and the Emperor's seal in wax.
Sorry, I'll be right back.
Well, I guess Tanira's not going to open that one. That is Bearded going to get his pizza, which we knew was going to happen, but didn't think it would happen right here.
I didn't know it was going to happen, so I'm as surprised as the audience.
Yes. So, 2 things are happening in the background at breakfast. Rudra is having a conversation with Godric where he's saying, you know, I recognize you as an okay chef. You're at an acceptable level given your youth. On the other side of the table, Inla Yalera is speaking to Gwyneria quietly and saying, The last vision I had as the Blessed of the Canid Star was that I would not see you again for decades. Something has happened to change both of our fates. And I know I came off yesterday, perhaps harshly. Your father spoke to me about it. I just want to make sure that you understand that you have a responsibility to your profession. I would hate to see the title of Bard that you have worked so hard on convincing me and your father to allow you to leave the Hidden Valley, that years of training, almost a century of preparation, does not go to waste because you cannot fill out a piece of paper.
Oh, I can very well fill out a piece of paper, I believe. There'll be plenty of time. Returning to the Dragon Hold, things to oversee, and much time. I have plans to write a dirge, a lament for our people, but with a upbeat, cheerful ending that announces better times, that we will move forward. A great composition that would be a centerpiece of a history of our people, I believe. And that is the work that shall be done.
I can't wait to hear.
Yes.
Bearded, Tanira still has the scroll in front of her, and James, I just want to say, I don't know if Kithrix would do it, but I know that you might read the newspaper, the news sheet. Sorry.
Yeah, I think that for lack for lack of anything else, I think that Kithrix is also feeling awkward in this home too, because despite everything else, her opinion is the Archmage should have, if they'd come to us for help, we would have helped them. The whole kidnapping of the parent to get us to help was sort of beyond the pale as far as Kithrix is concerned. So she has no interest in being here, so she's busying herself. And if there's a newspaper, then that's a good place to start.
There are several other stories on the news sheet, front and back. One of them does announce that the Archmage is retiring. The story makes it sound like it's voluntary, certainly, but no reason is given for why she's vacating her position.
I've written enough announcements about someone choosing to leave the company.
Yes.
To
amicable parting, Yep.
Totally voluntary.
The second is a proclamation from the Emperor. It is the countersuit to a lawsuit that was being opened by the Council of Ministers against your party. So it looks like last night, while you all were getting ready to go to sleep, the Council of Ministers determined that your looting of Ortholax was unlawful. Not that you stole anything from the treasury, because you were careful not to, but that your taking of Ortholax's possession was essentially robbery or grave robbery. That said, the Emperor has directly countered that with a official posting, noting that you took a job with the Adventuring Guild for the Imperial Academy of Science to solve the problem of what was causing the sickness in the town, and as a result of your Adventuring Guild licenses, you are allowed to loot fallen foes. That he, rather than drag you through months of court nonsense, the Emperor is just like, no, just no, don't even get started.
Don't even test me.
That said, you are also owed 500 gold pieces by the Adventuring Guild for that.
Nice.
From the Imperial Academy of Science. So those are the two things you get that are big news out of the news sheet.
Powerful new friend. It's nice.
I'm going to open my scroll. This is going to go well.
It reads from the desk of the Emperor. Tanira, you offer no worship and no praise or sacrifice to any recognized deity, good or neutral, within my empire. I have spoken with them in my dreams, and they say you offer no efforts or labor on behalf of the people of the Empire. You offer no repentance of your sins and would indeed do everything the same given the chance. Sins qualified differently, they're asterisk. Sins qualified differently by different gods who are not all in agreement on this point, but in general, the majority find you to have not achieved a state of true repentance. You believe that you can buy your way out of hell with gold, which you may have indeed done, but you cannot buy your way out of hell in reality. No other god will take you in this state, and your soul lies upon a dangerous precipice. You may not go to the hells, but you are not wanted in any other plane of existence after death. Your soul will simply fade with time, leaving you with no chance for greater service, a greater life, or a rebirth in any way. The gods recommend and indeed command a real and lasting commitment to service and goodness or lawfulness, with the understanding that knowing you are doing it to avoid damnation is not undermining your own effort. We, the gods, are real and understand that this life is a test, and you are in danger of failing. With that understood, all deities of the Empire and all combined divinities agree that just a little effort would count for a lot here. Signed, the Emperor.
I was never really good at tests. Well, that was a little more spicy than I thought it was going to be, but, well, it doesn't say I'm going to jail.
That's good then. Imperial pardon.
Yeah.
It is
It's an
specifically
imperial house arrest.
it is
pretty
specifically
much.
not a pardon. You
I'm not reading it. I'm not reading
Okay,
it. So I assume
yes,
when you say
okay,
that
okay.
was that she's fine. I'm like, okay, it must be an imperial pardon.
I mean, I imagine I'd be like sitting next to Kithrick as she's reading the paper.
Sure.
And with her 24 perception, I'm sure she could read what I'm reading.
Yeah, but I'm not nosy either. So
Yeah. Okay.
A non-nosy halfling? Whoa.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say, is Sparky reading over Tanira's shoulder and
Yeah. He
you were
totally
just
is.
reading off the glistening of.
Yeah, I just turned to Sparky and I go, well, yeah, at least I'm not going to jail. You
I
know?
think Sparky is having a conversation with the Archmage Janine.
Oh.
While the rest of you seem uninterested in speaking with her, Sparky doesn't have your same moral
compass?
code or appreciation for cause and effect.
Respect for solitude, and so on.
That's true. Sparky also does not have any respect for solitude. Dragons notoriously do whatever the hell they want. You may recall that several times dragons have just appeared in people's bedrooms, watching over them like cats.
yeah, they have a magical lack of sense of propriety.
At this moment, the door bursts open as a messenger runs in and says, Archmage, I know you are retiring, but we have received an emergency summons from the northern border. The mage, Malik the Vermilion, sends a report. Infiltrators of the Empire, possible ne'er-do-wells. She gets
we know
handed the
Malik?
letter. She starts reading it and says, send a reply to Malik that the situation has been rectified. Thank you, Jevons. And he goes, of course, Archmage. My apologies to you and your guests. I will have
Thanks,
the door
Jevons.
repaired at once. Sorry, did you say something to Jevons?
Yeah, I said, thanks, Jevons.
You're welcome, ma'am. Just leaves. You can hear from the outside he's casting mending on the doorway.
That's what happens when you just be busting down doors. I should know.
Well, what would you
So
all
what
like
was
to do?
what was the summons about?
She explains that you all were spotted at the northern border asking suspicious questions about top secret Imperial projects.
Oh yeah, that was us. I remember that.
It got
Good
here
times.
48 hours late.
It's all been solved. Everything is fine.
I think it's time for us to pack up and start heading home. Yeah.
Did some of us need to stop in Orishbon while the others could go directly home?
I can definitely go directly home if anybody wants to pass through there.
Just remember, some of you need to pick up equipment in Orishbon.
And alcohol.
And
I'm
alcohol.
sure they've restocked by now.
I don't think I was one of those persons. Oh, don't forget to pick up the bounty for the Adventuring Guild quest.
Yeah, we need to pick up the bounty for the Adventuring Guild quest. And then I think it was supposed to be all paper script, so I was going to just spend it in Orishbon to buy
I mean,
booze.
we don't have to worry about it being dragon blighted anymore.
Correct.
So it doesn't matter if it's paper.
There is a notice in the news sheet that outlines very briefly Ortholax's evil plan. But going forward, all Imperial currency will be directly blessed by the Emperor and held in trust and assurance of all the gods. So they will directly bless each piece of paper.
Jesus.
So it cannot be used by evil. I mean, he's just going to go into a room and bless all of them.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
$1, $2.
Yeah, no, there's no way that's going to happen. He's just going to go into a storeroom and bless all of it. And that'll be the blessing he does for the day.
All right.
I imagine he just creates a large vat of holy water. And everything rides through on a conveyor belt like a Krispy Kreme donut.
I'm in no
No.
rush to get back home, so if we all want to go to Urshbon together, I don't mind.
It's much more ceremonial than industrial in nature, for sure. If you want to go to Orshbon, you only need to go take a teleportation circle. You won't need Janine to teleport you directly home then. So
Okay.
you're free to go at any time.
Perfect.
Well, I have
Well.
parents. Do they want to go to Orishbon, or do they just want to go to Dragonhold to be
I mean,
reunited with everyone?
if you're going somewhere, they're okay going with you.
Okay. Mother
Thanks
and
for
father,
saying.
would you like to go to Orishbon and then have a nice little journey so that you can see the path to Dragonhold?
Have you told your parents that their village has been burned down and everyone has moved to Dragonhold yet?
We're getting there.
Yeah, that's the whole
Okay.
point of the lament that I'm writing.
Yes.
Our
Okay, I
people.
just wanted to make sure that that was on the table. So I think that
Yes.
your dad is very interested in understanding the local cuisine so that he knows what ingredients he can source locally. Since you've described the area as an outpost with no set up economy in any way, he's going to have to buy ingredients in bulk from Orishbon, which
Yes,
seems to
that's what we
horrify him. It's not that he doesn't know how to cook Orcish food, it's just that he would rather not cook Orcish food. It's an extremely high mineral content and low meat for people that live in the mountains with no local game animals.
Well, a supply of goats and sheep can live on those slopes and provide exactly what you need. It sounds like a good project to undertake. And if there's anyone I know who can convince herds of goats and sheep to inhabit the lands, it is you, Father.
Yes, but I don't like to do that. I don't like to lie to them and say that I'm raising them for the sole purpose of eventually eating
You
them.
don't lie to them. You just tell them that is their land, and they fulfill their role. And when
You
the
don't
older ones,
understand. You'd get it if you could talk with them. You know, they're people too. They have their own complex societies. The Sheep King is always most difficult to deal with.
I can work
And
magic to
don't even get me
understand them.
started on goats. They're always forming republics and then subcommittees, and nothing ever happens. They all just make noises at each other and spit, make horrible screaming.
But they'll eat a variety of things like weeds, and they are good for maintaining ecosystems. Are they not?
You don't need to tell me, a ranger, how. I just saying I don't like to raise animals for the sole purpose of eventually eating them.
No, but they will populate the hills and be wild. And if some our fodder, well, that is to be.
Look,
It is the
Dodder,
way of things.
I understand what you're saying, but before I bring in outside invasive species to a biosphere I know nothing about, I think I'd like to get a handle on it. I'm not
Well,
sure
that's what we're gonna go do.
Goats are extremely disruptive.
We are long-lived. There's much time to figure this out. Do not worry. Do not worry.
He's done arguing about this as well. Yeah, his plan is to look at what ingredients are available, and he's not going to buy goats and such until he understands the local. Oh,
That's fine.
you know, he's a ranger that cares. Okay.
I'm just attempting to provide solutions. Not solutions for immediacy, but solutions for...
It's this hastiness that
long-term.
makes you a bard instead of a more learned and thoughtful class like a ranger.
No, it's my young age that makes me hasty. It has nothing to do with being a bard.
Anyone else want to do anything before you head to the teleportation circle?
Just get my money from the guild.
Yep, they pay you a fat stack of 500 gold ones. So it actually turns out you get that freshly printed this morning batch of blessed bills. The paper is almost transparently thin. It has a picture of the emperor on it, and it is embossed with real gold. It looks like the silver piece and copper piece paper bills also have silver or copper instead, like built into a sort of frame on the picture.
Okay. Neat.
Okay. You all find yourselves in Orishban. Absent the Archmage Janine, plus a set of parents, a bunch of horses, and guess what, James? You finally get all of that equipment you wrote down and never actually were able to pick up.
Just a bow and a saddle. That was it.
I think Godric also has some things here as well. Am I crazy in that?
No, I got the stuff I had ordered.
Okay.
Unless it was anything being mailed to us.
Things seem little changed in Orishban from the last time you were here. You do, of course, need to ride half a day to get to Orishban because it is a imperial border province, and so there's no direct teleport access to it. But when you make it to town, it is commented upon that about 2 days ago, a large group of elves passed through and seemed to be in good health as they traveled south.
Great. That is wonderful news.
Less wonderful is that local beer, ale, and spirits prices are exorbitantly high. The after effects of your locusting this town have yet to truly stabilize. Slightly ahead of you, though, is news that even more people will be coming through the local area. So there are a huge number of day laborers, hundreds of them, who came down here to work on several big construction projects that finished up recently. And now they're all being turned around and rehired because the Emperor has announced he's making a road in the south to a sort of new allied province. So people who were like milling about in town, spending a giant amount of coin, but generally like carousing, rabble-rousing, and causing problems are now turning around and going back out to work, and they'll be back again with big piles of coin. But the problem is that people with big piles of coin and nothing to do have been drinking the town up.
Huh. Well, that's not good for our plan to buy up all the alcohol again.
So do we want to use that 500 gold from the guild to buy up alcohol, or do we want to try to buy up livestock?
Livestock.
Livestock or buy up the equipment to make alcohol.
You already bought a Brewer's Guild.
Oh, okay. Then we're
Yeah.
good. Don't worry about it.
You can buy a personal brewing kit or something like that, but you have a full guild waiting for you.
Also, I think buying out all their alcohol again is going to make this town really pissy. So let's try not to do that.
Yeah, I think we want to go ahead and buy the livestock and maybe like a couple of like draft horses and some wagons.
Okay, draft horses are 50 gold apiece.
Mhm.
I'm assuming you want bit and bridle for 2 apiece, and 1 or 2 wagons.
Well, I'm looking them up now.
Okay, so a wagon can carry 400 pounds. Oh no, sorry. I think the wagon lets you carry 10 times or something. Wagons cost 35 is the important part.
Okay. Let's see. Hold on. Let me do some math. So just in gold pieces, we have 2,000, or we have 1,500 gold that the dragon pooped, and we have 500 gold from the guild.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to use? And I'm asking the whole party, how much of that do we want to use to get horses and wagons to essentially do like supply runs for us, and help us establish trade? And how much of that do we want to spend on livestock?
50-50
Probably
split.
50-50. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
Okay, so
Yes.
a draft horse pulling a wagon can carry 2,700 pounds.
Yeah, if we're saying we want to do a 50-50 split out of like 2,000 gold, are we dumping 1,000 gold on draft horses and wagons?
Could do if that's available.
It also requires retainers to actually,
Yeah.
move them. So it's less of a it's a capex, not an opex.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry,
Also,
other way around,
space
opex, not a
to
capex.
put them.
Yeah.
Where are we going to put that many carts?
Yes. I was thinking maybe like 2 or 3 wagons, and then the horses to pull those wagons,
Yeah, I think that's.
and then
good.
everything else could work on like livestock.
Yeah.
Chicken. Chickens lay
Yeah,
eggs.
chickens.
For now.
Eggs make omelets.
Actually, you know what?
Slices make good.
Get a bunch of ducks.
Are there ducks?
Yeah, can we get a bunch of ducks?
Why ducks
I
specifically?
I don't think ducks are native to the local mountain pass environment of Orishban. I'm gonna just go ahead and say no.
Okay. I was gonna say you get flightless ducks, and they help do natural pest control around a farm. So I think the wagons that we get, let's say 3 draft horses, the wagons, the burdles to saddle them up or connect them to the wagons, all that equipment. Let's do chickens on like 1 carriage or one wagon. We'll just load up with chickens and chicken paraphernalia. And then the second wagon we can get like farming supplies, seeds, tools, maybe throw a plow or something on there. What do you guys think?
Good to me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You're the cooking guy.
Well, I'm trying to make us more self-sustainable.
Yeah. Well, I don't know anything about that.
Okay, and then the third wagon, let's say, supplies for us to consume while we're on there. So food for the animals, rations for us for on the road, because we're what, like a week out from Dragonhold. You're muted.
I think it won't surprise you to learn that ration prices are about 3 times normal.
Okay.
a huge amount of mobile workers and a elven contingent of refugees passed through this town recently and locusted it.
Yeah, I figured.
Classic.
You know what's really
unless we-
interesting about this situation is that you've done this to other towns before, and now things that you've done have caused you to experience the situation.
Yeah, but we're relatively wealthy, and it doesn't really impact us that much.
Yes, correct. You are incredibly wealthy, and so you
It's
can
the
pay
consequences
exorbitant
of our
prices very
actions.
easily.
Right. I mean, like we're casually rolling into town and buying 3 wagons.
Listen,
and
Not everybody
horses.
defeats a dragon, okay? We
Yeah.
can afford it.
So one ration is now 1.5 gold.
Okay.
That's
So yeah.
one ration is 1 full day's food for one person. So
Yeah. So then the rations for us, Guineria's parents, even though I'm sure her father wouldn't sully himself with a ration, but we'll include him anyway.
whoa, listen, he can gather food as he goes, but he's had rations before.
All right.
I feel like in the modern day, after he retires from being a ranger, he would 100% be one of those guys that does mukbangs in Korea of U.S. military rations, and then has like a follow-up YouTube short of like, in 1 minute, how I made this meal taste better. 6 spices you can season your meal with in order to bring it to the next level. K-ration.
Watch me turn this $2 fish jerky into gourmet.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Is that the Iron Chef guy? I like watching him. He's like, I talked to my dad.
Yeah.
He's like, you paid $300 for this? It's already gourmet. I'm like, your dad's right. That's crazy.
So yeah, I think the third one is just feed for the animals. While we're here, can whoever's got the sending stones, can you message Dragonhold and ask them if there's anything we need while we're in town?
Toss the sending zone to Kathrix.
All right, no worries. I will send off a message to, well, who's got the sending stone right now? We think it's one of the dragons, but I'll start with, this is Kithrix. We're on the way back. Anything that you need from Orish Barn?
You get a report back. This is Babka. Which one of you is Kithrix? We require arms, armor, and a general.
Okay. Well, then I'll load up the third cart with like basic weapons.
A general.
A general.
Like simple
actually-
weapons, you mean? Which are about 2 to 5
Daggers,
gold pieces
short
apiece.
swords.
Yeah, and simple weapons.
Spears.
And like
Daggers,
really like
short swords.
basic armor, like padded armor or something.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, you have
Just as much as that,
2,700 pounds to work with, so you can fit plenty of stuff back there. Get a small armory. You might
So
remember that this
whatever-
place actually forges its own weaponry, so
Yes.
Oh, that's good to know.
If we have time, I'll get the padded armor dyed so that it looks like our colors, whatever our colors were.
I
don't know if
I
we
still
established
don't
colors,
know
but-
that you have colors yet.
Red and green.
Red and green,
green.
very well.
There you go. So
Just
we'll
like
do a
that time
two-tone
I
red and
defeated
green
the
pattern.
red dragon of Green Dragonsville.
Exactly. We've defeated a green one and a red one, and
No,
You know?
you defeated
No.
a green one and a black
green one and a
one.
black
Black
one.
one.
Okay, green and black then.
Yeah, let's do that. Green.
when
black.
we do another dragon, we'll add another color to it.
Green and black. So you're one of the villains from Ben 10 or something?
Yes.
I never
Wow.
watched it, but
Green and black are the lore and danger colors.
are they
Oh, there
now?
you go.
Interesting.
They are.
Well, there we go.
I knew it.
Going all in on green and black.
Yep.
So I have a
All of
question for
green.
the group / the audience that doesn't need to be answered now. If anyone knows the answer, either like message me on Arthur's Discord or post it in the chat. But on D&D Beyond, if you have a magic item that could be any weapon, it comes up by default as a longsword. Is there a way to change the weapon type when you add it to a character sheet? That's my question for. I couldn't find it out. But if anyone uses D&D Beyond and knows, then let me know.
James,
Hell if I know.
you've got the perfect warlock for weapons and supply. Oh, he's turned to talk to his kid. I just want to say
Got the perfect warlock.
it was incredible to me that at Critical Role's contract with D&D Beyond went up at the same time that the D&D Beyond controversies and the Wizards of the Coast stuff kicked up. And then, like 2 months ago, it suddenly D&D Beyond was the sponsor again, but they've already announced that they're releasing their own system, Daggerheart. Critical Role's releasing their own system, Daggerheart, and that the current campaign, not confirmed, but almost certainly going to be we kill all our gods and we reboot the universe, and now we're Daggerheart. We're still in Exandria. We're just playing with the Daggerheart rules. So,
Oof.
it's too late for D&D Beyond. They're definitely going to lose their big money maker.
Yep.
All right. Anything else you want to do in Orish Bond?
I don't think so. Are we in agreement for the basic weapons, just spears?
Yes.
I was thinking spears, maybe slings, and then clubs.
I mean, do we want to get
Slings
some?
and spears? Oh man, we're going Phoenician, Grecian.
Well, do we want like bows as well to have archers?
Probably bows, yeah.
You can't recognize the superior slinger ammunition of picking up a random rock and hitting a giant 8-foot tall dude with it.
Listen, there's already a bunch of leftover construction material.
Leftover construction material. That's cute.
Yeah. I've seen enough Return of the Jedi to know that inexperienced slingers will just hurt themselves.
Oh well. Just like people who use nunchucks for the first 5 years.
Hey.
Yeah,
You want to show us your nunchuck skills?
No.
Didn't
All right,
think so.
We'll do bow and arrows. So we'll do bow and arrows. We'll do padded armor, and we'll do spears.
Hope the
I'm assuming that
open when we get back.
I assume you'll just fill the role of the general. Is that right?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, sure. I'll do it.
Yes.
Do you have any experience as a general?
Absolutely not.
Is your background noble or soldier?
Don't think so.
Can't wait to
My
see
background
this.
is minor.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, I just want to let you know you're completely
we're
unprepared in every way
We're
to
bringing
be.
with us an extremely experienced ranger, so I'm hoping maybe he'll lend.
He is a solo operator whose partner is an octopus. His regular contact is not with other elves, but with forest woodland creatures. He is also not a general. I know that the internet and Twitter has prepared us for people to think that they know how to be a general, but given that 80% of your job is going to be making sure that people are fed and have a roof over their head and are capable of marching in a straight line together to reach a new location before risking their lives for a small amount of money, you are not prepared to be a general, although I can't wait for you to make these rolls. And it makes me desperately wish we had Burning Wheel right now, because you could become a better general with the Burning Wheels rules. And that was actually Count Ronald Swan's character arc, was that he was a terrible general, actually one of the worst in existence. And by the end of it, he was cadet level.
Oh,
So you're saying there's a chance?
No, I'm saying there's no chance.
Well, what I'm saying is that we don't know any better, so we
Yes,
just assume
I agree with you.
the person that can fight the best is definitely the best person to lead the fighters.
So
Okay,
Kithrix.
Alexander, calm down.
You lead by example. You show your bravery. You rally your troops. You head off into battle. It's that scene for Frodo, and you go. Everyone follows.
I hate
They
every
would
part
have
of this.
died.
Yep.
They would have gotten massacred.
right.
You know, it's ironic because at the end of the movies, they skip over the part where the hobbits go back to Hobbiton and lead a raid on Saruman. And Grima Wormtongue kills Saruman by stabbing him in the back. As a result of their incredible charge breaking the... Are they half-orcs? Line? I think he just has like a bunch of half-orcs or something. Anyway, it's in the books. It's not in the movies.
Yeah.
It was a good time.
It was a time, certainly.
Yep.
You begin the 10-day journey south to Dragonhold. The King's Road is well intact, but the road that you take to get off to Dragonhold is now a muddy, horrifying piece of garbage. It is very clear that dozens of wagons have come through this area with little to no upkeep on what essentially just like a game path cut to the edge of the mountain. So, you climb probably the worst mountain climb you've had so far, up through one of the 4 narrow passes that leads to Dragonhold. And as you crest the ridge on the morning of the 10th day, Dragonhold looks like shit.
Of course. We haven't been there.
It's like some really like nice ambient music, and then we're just like, fuck.
It goes from like epic Lord of the Rings music.
Yeah,
to,
exactly.
As soon as we crest the hill, it's all being played by off-tune kazoos.
So plenty of trees have been chopped down to supply the area with fresh lumber. Huge piles of that are being set aside that have been processed, but now need to be dried for several seasons or perhaps even years. Dragonhold has an outer wall that is currently useless and will remain useless for hundreds of days, because as you improve the wall, it is covered in scaffolding, it has holes in it, so the wall has 0 value until it's fully finished. The following buildings are complete, though. Your keep has reached level 2. You have a blacksmith's guild, carpentry guild, brewer's guild. Even at this distance, several miles away, you can see these buildings standing tall and proud, and they are running at about 1/4 efficiency. Like almost no one has moved in here.
What about the Hot Springs Guild?
Hold on, you have a first. You did not build a Hot Springs Guild.
What? I totally did.
I have no notes here that say Hot Springs Guild.
I totally spent 500 gold on that.
I was going to say, didn't you buy a bathhouse?
Yeah, I bought a bathhouse guild.
Bathhouse and a Hot Springs Guild are not the same thing.
It's all in the design, okay?
Lauren, your tavern and your theater are both completed. The theater looks freshly painted and relatively unoccupied. The tavern, however, is the most poppin' building in the whole of the town. There are hundreds of people gathered outside the tavern. A druid circle has been established outside the limits of the town. To the south, a temple to Bjornman Stoneface has also been established, and Lucien Saint Gerard's wizard tower is done. I think some of you may have bought wealthier aristocratic houses for yourself as well.
I know they bought one big one.
Okay, then that is done. The trees that have been cut down have not been stumped, which is the bigger problem, is that farmland can't be planted there and trees can't be replanted until they've been pulled out, which is long, hard work that your people simply haven't had time to do. They need the fresh lumber more than they need to plan for the future. Outside the walls, the town has a large, proper area interior to it. But outside the walls is about the same population as inside the walls, doubling the valley's total population. Itinerant workers, day laborers, people who have moved to the area but have yet to earn a place inside of it are crowding up the area outside of the walls. And then on the north side of the valley, pressed up between the deep green dragon forest and the mountain face, is the Elven Enclave, who are setting up. They don't seem to be cutting down any trees. In fact, they just seem to be gathering up mud and branches and making thatch buildings while they work on singing to the trees.
Of course. That's perfectly normal.
Yeah. The other thing you notice is that there are probably about 1,000 people in the town and 1,000 people outside of the town. Between that, almost half of the people who live here are some form of military. A shockingly large number of people carry weapons and armor in and outside of your town, which may confuse you.
Have we attracted ne'er-do-well militia members?
It's hard to say from this distance. You would need to talk to somebody, which will require several more hours of journey.
Some good thoughts.
Let us journey.
Yeah, we shall journey, and we can
Yeah,
plot
so
and plan
let me-
and scheme.
Let me go find my bugbear friend.
Babka?
Yeah.
Is that the first person you're talking to when you arrive?
Yeah, he said we needed weapons and armor, so
Mhm.
that
Keep
that
fully furnished.
Well, you'll find out when you go in the keep.
should have bought furniture back in
You
Orange
find
Pond.
Babka outside the walls. You remember the horrifying kobold trap that tricked you on your way in. That bridge has been fully rebuilt. The walls are in a shitty state, but the bridge is brilliant, and there are now 4 statues on the outside. You may remember there were broken statues before. There are now 4 statues, one of each of you, and the one with Kithrix has Sparky, smaller Sparky, much smaller Sparky, climbing up her back with his forepaws on the back of her head, looking proudly out, and a little like wave of fire coming out of his mouth.
Aww.
And say,
Babka is adjudicating a sort of chief's meeting between 2 units of cavalry who appear to be arguing with each other. One of them is calling themselves the commander of the Home Guard, and the other is calling themselves the commander of the 1st Home Guard.
You're up, General.
All right. I think as Godric walks up, I think he's looking at him and in kind of like his gruffest voice asks, "What's all this then?"
Babka stands up and he says, "This meeting is done. I must speak with the lords." And the 2, you can tell that the 2 cavalry officers want this to continue, but Babka is a extremely intimidating, well known to be cutthroat bugbear mercenary knight. So they both get back on their horses and just ride off in different directions to ride down the hill back to their men. Babka says, "It is good to see you again, my lord."
Good. I give him that like forearm grip bro shake that's so popular in anime.
There are many who have been attracted by your call. Some have come armed, offering their services. Others have moved here because you have said that they will be provided homes. In the process, they are forming social groups, and inside those social groups, they have formed individual militia units.
Good.
I get it.
Okay, cool.
I do not technically have any authority over them. I am your knight. I am not a lord of any kind. I have simply tried to keep the peace here while waiting for authority to come back. I am afraid that the only officer who you have given any sort of operational or executive authority is Lucien Saint-Gerard, who is an administrator handling bureaucratic affairs, who has not deemed himself to come outside of the keep to actually solve any of the real problems.
Ugh.
Also,
Lucien Saint Gerard is the alchemist guy, right?
yes, yeah, he's the alchemist.
Also,
Okay.
Also, the dragons keep stealing the sending stone.
yeah, we noticed.
They are now calling themselves the Powerful One and the Librarian.
Which one's which?
Are you asking because you don't know, or
Yes.
sarcastically? Oh, very well. The Topaz Dragon is the one that calls itself the Librarian. The Emerald Dragon calls itself the Powerful One.
Okay. I'm gonna look at our group, assuming our group is still all nearby.
So he actually grabs your shoulder before you go and he says, "Wait. We do not have a strict set of laws yet. It is unclear to me how the government works around here, but there is a cut purse who you should be aware of. She has been practicing her arts on people nearby. I have chosen not to enact the laws of the South upon her, or if I did, she would have lost a hand or more. But you may wish to judge her. A
Clearly done.
half-elven miner, other half-human, has come here to speak with you specifically. He actually has already established a mine on your lands, which I strongly objected to, and yet Lucien Saint Gerard gave him permission. And a halfling warlock has come to the town. I believe he should be driven out immediately. Warlocks are not to be trusted. They trifle with dark powers.
So Kithrix handle the halfling, Godric can handle the miner, and I can handle the cutpurse. Perfect.
No, hold on. I was going to ask if Kithrix and Sparky can go talk to the dragons and get them to relinquish the sending stones. And then I wanted to see if I could borrow Guineria and her high charisma to talk to these like mini militia groups into like chilling out while we establish some measure of order.
Or become one militia group.
Yes. And then I do think you'd be best suited, Tanira, for finding this cut purse.
Easy enough.
If we want to try to split up and resolve things that way.
Sounds good to me.
Who are we following first, and what are they doing?
We could do Godric, Guineria if we want, just since that's like the bigger group.
Very well.
Yeah. I want to get all just send out like a missive or whatever that we need the heads of all these different militia groups to gather up.
Okay.
So we can begin organizing them.
Godric and Guineria, which one of your tasks would you like to go for first? Is it just the speak to the militia? Sorry, I thought you had more than one thing.
I think that's the only thing I'm trying to get resolved right now.
The following militia groups present themselves: the Oath of the Tavern Militia, elven swordsmen who have sworn themselves to the service not of the Blessed of the Canaan Star, but specifically to Guineria. Bjorman's Bowmen, dwarven archers who have sworn themselves to protect the temple to Bjorman Stoneface, your god. The Green Walkers, elven cavalry who have gathered themselves from many hidden valleys, who have come here in order to protect and defend the new hidden valley that you're establishing. They have heard from Rython, and they are here essentially to protect Rython's lands. The Redwood Bowmen are a local group of human archers who are citizens of your lands that have raised themselves in its defense. The First House Guard, who are extremely inexperienced human light infantrymen. They will almost certainly die the first time they do anything. The First Home Guard, who are human light cavalrymen who have come from afar seeking riches locally. And the Home Guard, who are also human light cavalrymen who have come from afar in order to serve these new constitutionally minded, non-monarchical lords of this land. These Home Guard are people wealthy enough to afford to be cavalrymen, but not wealthy enough to be nobles in their own homelands. They have come here hoping to become something like upper middle class to lower upper class citizens.
Gotcha.
If you would like, you may also send for a representative from the True Elf Diplomatic Corps. The Drow ambassador of the True Elves, Luthlorian, has brought with her personal retinue to defend her while she is in these lands, observing you and communicating your actions with the South. Her people are well taken care of. They have incredible equipment. They mostly appear to have like magical equipment as well. And she seems to be personally supplying them with food and drink and all of that stuff. They are a military unit within your borders, but they don't technically answer to you. Although, as noted, Lothlorien has offered to join this council if you want her to.
I think we'll extend an invitation to her.
Okay.
But we're not making. I don't want to make promises that we're extending an invitation just yet.
Okay. I mean, she just says that she'll be there shortly.
Okay.
Representative heads or second in commands who can represent have all come to this meeting. The 8 units that live and defend Dragonhold. Over 1,000 soldiers are represented here. Lucien Saint-Gerard catches up with all of you. He's got paperwork indicating that all of these people, based on your orders, are being upkept by your own treasury, and that it has cost almost 5,000 gold coins to keep everyone fed, armed, armored. Between having to import massive amounts of food for all the day laborers, drink, establish fresh water supplies, the local treasury you have left behind is growing thin indeed.
I do want to point out that we don't need to import food because I have 2 of those magic stew making cauldrons. That's just add water.
There are almost 2,000 people that live here now.
Gotcha. Yeah, I get more cauldrons.
And people will get sick of stew every single day.
Yes. Every single meal.
Right, but they won't get tired of free food. Okay, so let me just rehash this. Oath of the Tavern, right?
Yes, Oath of the Tavern. They are a militia group. So these people are essentially elven adventurers who have shown up at this tavern. They are... How do I put this? I want you to imagine you live in an adventuring D&D fantasy world, and you've gotten to the point where you can get by every day by doing a quest to go out and kill 5-horned rabbits or slay 3 giant rats in a basement, and you'll earn enough money to let you live for a week. And that's good enough for you. You're not like, man, one day I hope to kill a dragon or die trying. You're good at that level. That's these people. They are adventurers who get a day labor job that says there are wolves in the local area. We need you to kill one. And they're like, oh man, kill one wolf, live for 2 weeks. That's a sick deal. All right, let's do the 4 of us get together and each of us gets to live for half a week. Boom, bing, bam, boom, done.
Okay. So I got that they're like an elven militia / adventurer group.
Yes.
We have Bjornman's bowmen, which are dwarven archers. The Greenwalkers, which are elven cavalry. The Redwood bowmen, which are human archers. Then we have the first
house guard.
Well, the first home guard and the home guard,
Yes.
which are 2 different groups of human cavalry.
Correct.
And then we have the first house guard, which is human infantry.
Yes, they are technically the first military unit of your lands. They are fully formed from local citizens.
Okay.
Why not convert them to the town guard?
Yeah, right. That's what I was going to say. Is
They have literally no experience doing anything.
Yeah, you walk around and be friendly and
How do you get experience, Arthur? By doing.
Yeah.
By
They need to
reading a
have
book,
5 years
James.
experience.
By reading a book.
a book.
How about training?
Yeah.
How about
Gonna-
that?
Nobody trains these
I'm
days.
going to have to drop a bunch of silver buying Kenneth Cross's guide on how to start a medieval police academy.
I'd watch that anime.
Oh wait, no, can't whistle. It's the copyright. No.
Should we?
Okay, so with everyone, with the heads, or I guess second in commands of all these military militias together.
Oh, we forgot Lothlorien, representing the True Elf Diplomatic Corps.
Yes. And I think we want to express to them. I'm going to ask this to the party out of character. We want to express to them that their loyalty and citizenship is now to us, right? And that God, I'm not even sure what the next step should be.
They all have to act as one. They can't be all separated.
Yeah, I think that's the thing is we need to express that that the way they're organized now isn't going to necessarily stand. That we need to homogenize our units. And I think we need to say that as we begin to organize that they're going to be formed into new squads where they may not be fighting alongside the people they initially thought they were.
Okay. I mean, there are questions from everyone here, but the big question is always just
Why?
who's in charge?
Godric Deepbottom, Slayer of Dragons.
Okay. Someone from the Green Walkers stands up and says, "What experience do you have leading armies, Dragon Slayer? What notable battles have you led victory in?"
What experience do you have following orders?
Immense.
Who's this guy asking?
Yeah, so it's the leader of the Green Walkers. He just says, "I have been an Elven rider for over a century. When the call went up to defend the hidden valley of the Arctic, I gathered up my people and peoples from many other hidden valleys in order to defend them."
The experience that Godric has is rallying the remaining people of that valley. You do not know the tale yet, I would assume. It has been, unless the people, my people, who have now settled here, have told you of the false Hydra, yes?
The first words out of my mouth were, "What experience do you have?" I am eager to hear the tale.
I shall spin the tale for you then. Godric Deepbottom, who has led the charge against the false Hydra, our first endeavor, and then when it was just a small unit of us probing, seeking through tunnels, trying to find its location. And then we gathered all the people who remained in the valley, and we undertook vengeance, led by Godric, who brought the remaining elven forces forth, and he charged at the head of the battle, inspiring all, and with his axe cleaving down upon that Hydra, severing deep into the many necks that it would produce. We, together, all overcame it, but Godric is a beacon of battle.
Okay. I think we're going to make a performance roll
Okay.
when we come back from the break.
Yeah.
I can't believe that's what surprised you guys. All right, well, we'll be back in about 5 minutes for the next part. Welcome to the middle part. I'd like you to make a performance roll for an area at disadvantage. Now let me explain.
No.
Whoa, let me explain. First off, all of you get the refreshed DM insight, or whatever it's called. Inspiration. I'm asking you to roll at disadvantage. The higher of the two will be how all other military units see the dragon killer.
Okay.
The disadvantage is for the commander of the Green Walkers, who is clearly doesn't give a shit about a guy who is capable of killing one dragon. Like, that has
Two dragons.
It has no bearing on your ability to lead military forces, and he's the only one here who knows enough to know otherwise.
Oh, he's put the bugbear in charge.
Guidance.
The bugbear is a knight who used to be a dude who beat people up in the slums.
What is his qualifications?
I just told you what they were.
He's a guy who used to beat people up in the slums.
He used to beat bums up in the slums. I got it.
All right, well, here we go.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay, one of those is a natural one.
Oh,
Yeah.
The other one is an 8.
Yeah.
You have convinced a room full of armed people that Godric is not a good military commander. The leader of the Green Walkers flat out refuses to have him as a general. He just stands up and says, if this man is your choice for general, the Green Walkers will withdraw to the northern camps. I will speak with Rython. I hope that you will put just consideration into coming forward with a better commander. A man who is good at killing a dragon is not the same thing as a man who is good at leading a military. And he
Tread lightly.
I mean, he's an elf, so he does tread lightly. He just says that he walks atop the snows of Karatas while everybody else walks deeply in them.
Tread lightly with your words.
He turns around. It's clear he shows you some measure of respect, and he says, "My lady, I am treading lightly with my words. What you have brought here is, to be frank, a farce. You are not prepared to run a military operation, and that is fine, as long as you have no intentions of defending yourself. I was told that this land would be a new government, an experienced government, and Rython has spoken very highly of the 5 of you.
Then you will hold your tongue and you will simply patrol around the camp of our people. That is now your responsibility.
I do not answer to you. I answer to Rython.
That is fine. Go to it anyway. And I ignore him.
He leaves because he was going to do it anyway.
he's doing it because he wants to, not because you said to.
He's on the way out the door to begin with. There is now rabble-rousing among the units gathered here. You know, kind of like, this man isn't experienced at all, you know, and somebody's like, I should be the one in charge. And someone's like, not you, I should be the one in charge. And somebody else is just like, no one here should be in charge.
I cast Prestidigitation and use it to loom large and boom silence.
Okay. Make an intimidation check.
No. Where is it on the list? There it is. Okay. 14.
Everybody sits down and stops talking.
May I speak?
By all means.
There are lots of people here who clearly have experience, and yet yelling our experience at each other across the room is not going to solve this issue. Would everybody who has command experience please step to one side, and then we can individually go through and hear each person's experience and then work out the right way forward, whether it's here or to find someone externally.
You can tell Lothlorien isn't getting involved in this. You know, like, she's here as a courtesy to see what's up. So the only two people who step forward are the commander of the 1st Home Guard and the commander of the Home Guard. You also, I think, get the feeling that the leader of the Green Walkers who just left
Yeah, I
also has experience, but he's not here, so...
Yeah, we need to get him to have the same conversation, definitely.
I want a motion for Lothlorien to join us.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, she steps forward. She's wearing a full body covering white dress and a enormous floppy hat so that no sunlight can touch her or her skin, because as a drow she has sunlight sensitivity. So being out during the daytime like this is a real pain in the ass.
Gotcha.
She certainly looks less... She's the least at home person in this room with military command in terms of looks, for sure. But yeah, I think she saunters over and just projects an air of confidence.
I'm going to point to the 1st Home Guard commander and ask him what why should we consider him as for the position of general? Conducting an interview.
Yeah. He says, well, hold on. You didn't ask who wanted to be general. You asked who has command experience. Mm-hmm. I have commanded these cavalrymen for several weeks here. I have commanded cavalrymen before. The first home guard is several dozen riders. It is no small unit. He looks at the leader of the home guard and he falters and he says, I would not. It is clear that to be a general here, I do not have the respect of the other leaders.
I don't know that anybody will have that until it's earned.
So why you say that, the leader of the home guard steps forward and says, I do have the respect of those gathered here. I am a great warrior, known here and far. I could be your general.
What makes you different?
Yeah, we've just heard about how being individually a great warrior doesn't necessarily make you a good general, so...
And look at how the person that said that isn't here to be a general. Much of being a leader is about confidence. You don't have to know things. People just have to believe that you know things.
I show a fist who here in the room thinks this guy's a good leader.
Let me ask you a question. What's this guy's name?
He hasn't introduced himself yet.
Okay. What's your name?
Sir Caradric, leader of the home guard.
Sir Caradric, let me ask you something. When the men under your command inevitably die, are you prepared to carry the weight of that responsibility?
Do you mean physically carry their bodies?
No, I mean morally, consciously carry the fact that men under your command died.
Yes,
you could have made. Oh, so
they will have died knowing I had done everything possible to be right.
It's not about being right. You can do everything right and people are still going to die. Like,
he's shocked to hear you say that. That's like, he's like, whoa, is that right? I need to think about that one.
What are you going to do for your men? Why should your men follow you into battle?
My men should follow me into battle because I am a brave warrior.
I'm a brave warrior. We can draw a circle on the ground right now and see who's braver.
What are we doing in that circle? Being covered in scorpions?
I would assume we'd be fighting, but I mean,
I don't know that fighting proves how brave you are. I mean, does brave have the same context as resilient or strong?
Where's Sparky?
I don't think Sparky's here, man.
we could ask. No, I don't want to do that. That'd be disrespectful to Sparky. Jesus Christ. I don't want to put Sparky in the middle of this.
What? That's crazy.
Listen, being brave isn't everything. I'm going to turn to Lothlorien and ask her if she has any kind of like military command experience.
I am a diplomat. I have experience leading my house guard. If you are asking me if I have commanded a battle, I have not. I have extensive experience in matters of statecraft. It should be noted as well that naming an ambassador of a foreign country to be your general would be truly insane. It would basically be like surrendering control of your entire military to another country.
Well, I believe the
so
thing
like
is
you've asked her to come forward, and she doesn't
Yeah.
have any idea that you are attempting to prime her to be a general here, because to do so would be crazy.
Well, it's not so much that I wanted to offer her a spot as a general, but I wanted to know if she had experience and more insight.
She definitely has insight, and she has experience leading people, but not specifically in running a military.
Mm-hmm. Where's my bugbear?
Babka? He's been here the whole time.
Okay, I'm gonna call Babka over.
Right, Babka comes over.
Babka, from what I can understand so far, you've been able to keep all of these general people.
I threatened to hit them with a club if they didn't do what I wanted.
And they listened.
Yes. Several of them may have been hit by clubs.
I'm going to turn to the crowd and ask if any of them would have objections to following Babka's orders.
Babka raises his hand.
You would have problems following your own orders?
I don't know how to lead people. I have only ever fought for myself and for the people of the slums. I joined you because you have done well by my cousin and through others of the caravan. If you were to make me commander, I would need to learn by doing. There would be mistakes made. Things would go undone. People might be mad.
People are always going to be mad if you're in a command position. Everyone's always going to be mad at the person above them. They may not be able to see the big picture. You've been able to fight for people, as you said, for the people in the slums. You know what it's like and what we're fighting for. We're a new community. No one here has established themselves. No one here has like means. We're all struggling to survive. And I think you know that more than anybody else. And everyone here has, in some measure, already started following your orders, albeit through the threat of violence, which is something we'll have to discuss further. But I think you've already been doing the job. And I think to make it official would just be a formality.
Make a persuasion check.
Can I give him bardic inspiration?
Yeah.
Can I give myself guidance?
What do you? No, absolutely not. I mean, let me be clear. You can give yourself guidance, but it will involve you making magical gestures, speaking magical speech. It'll be obvious you're using magic, right? To a room full of people, right? Like, it will be really obvious that you are hyping yourself up.
Almost like you're giving yourself guidance to take away your, or just to do it at disadvantage.
What are you saying to give him inspiration?
What I say, I think I address to both Godric and Babka, and I say, there is much wisdom in these words for someone who has experienced much turmoil, and if you search within yourself, you may know these words to be true.
What's your
It's
inspiration? D8?
D8.
Awesome.
D8.
Am I rolling this normal or at disadvantage or?
It's normal.
Oh, there we go.
For the folks at home, that's a 19.
He believes in himself in the same way that you believe in him. So it's not like he's immediately like, all right, everyone get out of this room. But he is beginning to be like, I have the official authority now. I need you to move your camp here inside the walls. I need you to move here. The two of you have to be kept separated because you can't get along. You move here and you move here. Everyone reports for joint training every morning at 9 a.m.
I'm gonna tell him one of the first orders of duty. I want him to to oversee is renaming all of the units under his command. I don't like this. Everyone has a unique name that they picked themselves. I want him to give them like formal
I
names for
strongly
Dragon
object
Homes.
to renaming the unit cards I spent some time making.
Well, some I hold now. I think
You
some
send
of them
me you send me the list of what you want people renamed as, and next week I'll have new cards for you.
Okay.
The Bowmen seem okay with their name. The dwarves. The Greenwalkers will never change their name, I'm sure.
They
Well,
will change their
they're
name
not
if you
technically
order
ours.
them to.
I was gonna say, are they actually ours, or are they going back to Rython's camp to be?
I mean,
Rython's
Rython
peeps?
answers to the authority of this council.
Okay. Okay, so that's
Let's
we have
cut
the
to
general things
Tanira
sorted
now,
out.
because we've
Yeah.
spent a lot of time here.
It's not on this.
Yes.
Tanira, where were you going, and what do you want to do here?
I wanted to write a letter to captain of that guard, Captain Linthul, to see if she knew of any generals or people of high ranking within their army that could potentially help us.
Okay.
Or at least move here.
It's going to take a long time to get to the Imperial capital and back.
Yeah, I know, but
Okay.
I figure if I start now.
Sure. Let me write it down. Anything else you want to do?
I think I was just going to wait for Kithrix to come back and maybe go figure out what's going on with that cut purse.
Okay. Kethrix, do you rejoin Tanira to go speak to a cutpurse?
Sure, I'll go looking for them. Yes.
They are at the theater. They seem to have taken up a position as something there's no official staff there. There's hopefuls who are all hoping to arrive, and a young woman by the name of Anila appears to be the organizer temporarily. She is also the cutthroat.
Cut purse.
Yes, cut purse. Sorry, cut purse. Yeah, she looks like a human woman, late teens. Definitely based on the way she moves, 100% some form of acrobat for sure.
What was her name again?
Anila, Aniela.
What do we do now?
I'll talk to her.
Okay, so she's basically
What did I say?
seated on the stage, like the front of the stage, and waiting to speak to you at the front seats.
Okay.
Oh, waiting to speak to us.
I mean, she's waiting for anybody who comes in here. There's like a bunch of actors who are occupying the seats, practicing lines, juggling, having debates over, some plays have different endings or emphasis on different morals depending on how you want to tell the story. And so people are debating that. Some people are debating acting methods. Yeah. So Anila is just at the front of the room and says, well, the two of you don't look like actors. And you also don't look like Thieves Guild.
Very perceptive. We've just come to look at the theater. It seems to be in good repair.
My understanding is that it is ready for Lady Gwyneria whenever she graces us with her presence. I don't suppose that's you?
It is not. But Gwyneria is a friend of mine, and I can have her come down the next time I see her.
We just came to meet you.
Yes.
To meet me?
Yes.
Did someone send you to me?
So we are two of the four lords of Dragonhold. We've just returned from the Empire, and we'd heard stories of a cut purse in Dragonhold, and so we thought we'd come and find you just in case.
You've talked to Babka then?
Yes.
So she looks kind of sad for a second, and she goes, right. Well, and then I need both of you make a Constitution saving throw.
Finally, I get the roll.
Is she a dragon? Because I get.
Yeah, another dragon.
No, she is a human.
Okay, no worries.
Is she
Constitution
dragon?
Save or check?
So
Interesting.
13.
A 13. Interesting indeed.
Oh,
Natural 20.
She throws a satchel. Oh, why is it playing the bad music and the good music at the same
You've got
time?
them both set to play.
I got them both set to play.
Oh.
She throws a satchel of flash
Is this-
powder between the two of you and uses this as an opportunity to dart past you. Both of you have your eyes turned. The flash powder goes off, and your eyes are open again, ready to do. Like, you have an attack of opportunity if you want to keep her from running or something like
Yes.
Okay.
I'll even use a key point to stun her.
that. Okay. Go ahead. Make an attack roll.
I mean, you can turn an attack into a grapple.
Also true.
True.
But that's not what he
Can I
said he
do
was
that?
doing.
That's true. Where do I? Whatever. I'm just doing an arm strike.
I'm just trying to wait, you're not in trouble.
Oof.
14 will
Natural
hit.
20 again.
Yep.
Stunned.
I believe she gets a save versus that.
Maybe.
It would be crazy if she didn't. I think you have to spend a key point to use whatever this is called, stunning blow.
That's what I did. It's called stunning
Yep.
strike.
Yep.
There is no DC.
There's no way that's true.
Starting at 5th level, you can interfere with a key in an opponent. You hit another creature with a melee weapon attack. Spend a key point. Target must Constitution saving throw or be stunned until the next turn. You're right. I don't know what my number is.
It's probably higher than a 13, I'd say, but let's just double check.
Most likely, yeah.
Who knows? You have a weird build because you multi-class into barbarians, so it may not be
Yep.
quite as high as you want it to be. I would think it would
Is
be
it?
under the ability, though. It should tell you.
13. DC save 13.
Okay. So yeah, you hit her with a stunning strike, and she goes, her back arches, and she comes out of it and keeps running. She hears you, Kithrix, say, "Wait, we just want to talk to you.
Yeah, you're not in trouble.
You're not in trouble. I would like you to make a persuasion at disadvantage," because she was immediately attacked, and then weird magic was forced into her body.
Listen, she attacked us first, okay? Don't put this on me again.
I didn't say. Listen.
Talk shit, kid.
All right, I better spend my inspiration for this one then. Make
I see.
regular.
Okay.
13, I think it's 14.
She skids to a halt after a few steps, turns and enters a sort of defensive stance with both hands up and says, "Okay, I'm willing to hear you out. What do you have to say?"
We don't have anyone with your skills in our group, and the reason we built this establishment, among other things, was to try and attract somebody like you that could help us.
I don't know what you think my skills are.
It's a pretty good flash bomb.
Expensive.
We can replace it. That's fine. We're looking for. I mean, he said we don't look like a thieves' camp. We don't. That's true. This would imply that you do. That you are an expert in chicanery, in spycraft. I don't know, but we don't have any of these skills.
The thing is she isn't going to go out of her way to tell you what her skill set is. You know, like a good spy is never like, yeah, I'm a good spy. But when, you're like chicanery and other stuff, and it seems obvious that she's good at deception and acrobatics, almost certainly sleight of hand. And it would be implied, but hasn't actually been said, stealth. She does also have a hidden ability she hasn't shown you beside the flash powder.
Her ultimate.
Her flash powder is the ultimate.
Oh, well, that didn't go over very well.
Yeah, well,
So we're looking. We're looking for allies. That's why we tried to attract someone with your abilities. If you want to speak to Guineria, fine. That we can bring you to Guineria, or we can bring Guineria here.
Look,
But
my
you're not-
understanding is you need somebody to manage this theater. If Lady Guineria is going to be out ladying things up, you need somebody to make operational decisions. And if you're looking for someone who knows thieves can't, you should. I mean, you're having this conversation openly in front of all the actors here. She's just like, not everyone here lives that life. But if you're looking to have an establishment control the black trade, I can do that for you for a price.
All right.
That's fine, but
We need to know the rules. So I guess let's go to my office and have a chat.
All right.
All right.
Can you holster your fists?
I mean,
That's the Nero. That was the Nero.
All right, Superman, calm down.
Gotta get my mustache bigger now.
I mean, she goes to an office that has a placard outside that says, you know, Lady Guineria, and she just takes the Lady Guineria sign off of it. I'll have to get something made. She sits down in a completely empty office that has like furniture for like a portrait on the wall, like there's a wall hanger, and then like bookshelves with no books on it, and says, her hands flat on the table in front of her, look, you want someone to regulate the black trade. I need to know. Slaves? Yes, no.
No.
What's illegal here? What alcohols? What poisons? What contraband are you willing to let in? And what contraband needs to be controlled? How much are people allowed to talk out against the government?
Definitely no slaves. Poison
Murder
should
for
be
hire?
controlled. No.
Sounds like a pretty weak town to me. I have to tell you,
Well,
the more things you say no to, the more likely it is that somebody else is going to form a second thieves guild that will
don't
say
we
yes.
have an adventurers guild though, don't we?
She is an artisan, not an adventurer. She has no interest in that life, so she doesn't have an answer for you.
Alcohol is fine.
I mean, if all alcohol is legal, then there isn't much interest for it in the black trade.
Grithix, any thoughts?
I mean, look, I come from a settlement where there was no drug was illegal. But with that being said, I suppose if we sort of go through what our vision for this place is, and you know, we have pretty high and lofty visions of being, you know, a good place, a place that people want to come to. Now, that doesn't mean that there are things on the fringes of society that are acceptable without being necessarily legal. And on top of that, we've got a situation where we will have enemies, and our enemies will try to reach us through means that are not necessarily walking up to our gates and banging on it with a sword. You know, I would expect that we would face saboteurs or infiltrators, and I think that an establishment like this is the best equipped to help identify those, but also to recruit those sorts of agents for us to use against those same enemies. I mean, most wars are won before the first sword is drawn.
Fine. You tell me your vision, and I'll try to work around it.
So I suppose, yeah. In terms of our, look, I need to get the others here so we can give you the vision as well. I need Guineria here as well, particularly.
Yes.
But I mean, I can definitely say that, yeah, for us, slaves are off the table. I mean, assassination is something that we've often spoken about in the past in some capacity to achieve our goals. But I'm not looking for disgruntled, you know, spouse goes and pays someone to murder their ex sort of thing. I'm talking about assassination for the benefit of the greater good here, for Dragonhold, for the governments we work with. All right, look, at least we've got a dialogue going. We will find the others and bring them back here, and we'll talk further.
I'll be here if you need anything. Okay. Who are we going to? Which event is next? There's so much to do before we ever get to the real military part.
Who's
We
going
should
to
probably
speak to the warlock?
You are heading to the Temple of Bjorman Stoneface, where a elderly halfling gentleman by the name of Vittorio Cognac Casker is outside praising the name of Bjorman Stoneface and elucidating about the place of dwarven gods as defenders of people who are smaller than perhaps the accepted medium size. Vittorio has a number of facial tattoos that ominously have black shadow rise off of them occasionally, and his eye has dwarven runes stitched into the left one. I think you recognize this as a known warlock ability called Eyes of the Runekeeper that allow him to detect magic at will and read other languages and things like that. There is a very ominous, unearthly feel about being near him that you've only ever felt from someone like, who was the lizard folk warlock of the genie? The unnamed one? Is that what they were called back in?
Yes.
Yeah.
The unnamed.
They are, however, wearing vestments that are somewhat more clerical, or at least priestly, rather than warlock. Seeing you approaching, someone who is clearly of status, with magic about them, he dismisses his flock and sits down on top of a half keg and says, "Well, hello there, you seem important."
Well, hello there. Oh, are all four of us doing this, by the way?
I didn't think so. I thought this is what you're doing while we're doing what we did.
Okay. Okay.
The name is Vittorio Cognac Casker.
I'd like to be there at some point if he's in the temple to my
Yeah.
dad.
This
think
is
Audrey
this is
and I after the
outside
meeting.
on the steps of the temple.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, hello. I'm Lady Guineria, Blessed of the Cadent Star.
Let me make
Gotcha, keep on in
a
here.
wisdom saving throw.
Oh.
You are also
Oh.
not conscious that this wisdom saving throw is happening.
Is it against being charmed?
No,
Do I need to make the save?
not yet. I'll let you know.
Okay.
Oh wait, I'm in D&D Beyond, and I need to be in Foundry. Oh, Lauren, you're just being so silly. Ah, only a 9. That's not good.
What are you currently thinking about as you meet with Vittorio Cognac Casker?
I'm probably thinking about the nature of warlocks and pacts that they make.
Okay. So he introduced himself to you.
Mm-hmm.
Was the last thing that happened.
Yeah. So he introduced himself, and I introduced myself and Godric.
Is there something I can do for the two of you fine fellows?
Well, we came to welcome you to Dragonhold.
I have to ask you, Lauren, did you really come here just to welcome him to Dragonhold?
Well, that was the initial thing, to welcome him and to
Is it,
learn more
but
about
what
him.
else?
Oh, and to find out his purpose for being here.
Okay. He just has a weird smile and is just nodding as you talk to him.
As Lord of Dragonhold, we have returned from adventuring. There were matters to attend to, and now we've been told that a warlock has been spotted in our town, so we have come to meet you and learn more about you.
Do you have a problem with warlocks?
No, not at all. My mother is a warlock.
Okay.
Why would I have a problem with them?
Cedric, I need you to make a wisdom saving throw.
Okay. Saves.
Okay. No
16.
further questions.
I'm like, I think I'm giving him kind of like a stern glance through my spooky helmet.
Mhm.
But I'm gonna ask him what business brought him here.
I am a preacher of many gods, but often gods that flatly find themselves supporting the smaller folks such as you and I. And this fine establishment to the stone-faced one, I felt myself drawn here. I felt a kinship. This land requires a defender, and I am a specialist in defense, an alienist, one who abjures the unseen and seen. It seemed like a place where I might grow the flock.
Interesting. And what is this flock you're trying to grow?
Belief in gods who protect the little folk. And I should mention, there are many secrets long lost at the edges of the world. A warlock is someone who finds those secrets and reveals them. There's something hidden here in these lands. I sense it.
You are free to come and preach if you wish. I ask that you be respectful of the stone-faced one while you're within his walls. I also ask that you be respectful of anyone who wishes to come into the temple to worship or pray, regardless of whether they are little people or not.
I've stopped no one leaving or entering.
As long as that's understood. You're free to preach within the walls of the church.
I prefer to do my business outside, under the light of the sun.
All right.
Where are we going to next?
I was gonna say I didn't have any more questions for him. If you did, Cornelia.
No, I wanted you to lay down the sternness, and you did, and we're good.
Shall we all get together and go and see this this brogue?
Sure.
Since she's
Yeah.
Okay, you go
maybe
to see.
maybe you're better
Anya.
to leave this conversation, Guinevere.
All right.
You go to see Aniela at the theater.
Yes.
Guineria, when you walk in, a bunch of the actors stand up and begin clapping.
No. It's okay. Please sit. Thank you, but it's
More people
not
begin to
necessary.
stand up. Someone begins conjuring flowers and throwing the petals in front of you.
Is there any kind of
Stop that. No,
is there any
that
kind of fire?
absolutely- No,
Is there fire? No, there's
Is there
not
any, like,
fire inside of
lanterns
a
or-
wooden building.
There's no.
How is it lit?
I think, yeah, lanterns maybe, but like there's no
Yeah.
open flame in here.
Turn the lanterns to green flame.
Okay. Several people gasp, but most people know that sort of they're actors. This sort of small prestidigitation is no surprise to most of them.
I just go, woo!
Okay.
Well, hello, wonderful acting troupe. We, the lord and ladies of this land, are here to see Anelia and Anila. Anila? Is it Anila? Yes, Anila.
They point you towards where you should be going to.
Well, then, that is where we're off to. Please continue as you were. Practice, recite, rehearse, as you would wish. Don't mind us. And off we go.
Okay. You go meet Anila in your former office that you never knew was your office.
Yes. An empty bookshelf. We shall definitely have to change that. Shelf without books.
Maybe you can write something for this theater troupe.
Ah, a tragedy of elves. Story of brave adventurers battling the false Hydra or a dragon.
Sure, those shelves will fill up.
There are so many tales to tell.
So Anila is just like looking at you, stepping into what's her office, talking about how you're going to fill her shelves up, and says, "Sorry, are you the Lady Gwyneria?"
Why, yes, I am. You
Well-
must be the Mistress Anelia.
Anila is fine.
Anila. Okay. Well, hello, Anila. It is a pleasure to meet you. My compatriots have said that you wanted to meet with me.
Yes, to some extent, I think that's true. My understanding is that you all were going to tell me what your plans for your city are and how the black trade could be used to alleviate pressure.
Yes. Well, one of the things that every new settlement must deal with are the prying eyes of neighbors, the aspirations of foreign powers, and certainly the misdoings of people who, how should we put this, would subvert all the good that we would do here. A network, a shadowy network that can certainly keep an eye on these things, manage it, regulate it, report back as to what's transpiring is definitely what we would need.
That's very interesting, but you know, normally groups like that are well compensated for their efforts. How do you intend to compensate any such agents of change who might work for you?
I turn to the others. What do we think might be fair compensation, friends?
I don't know the going rate, so I was sort of hoping that she might.
What is your preferred method of payment?
My preferred method of payment is payment, but
A paper script from the Empire? I think not.
totally worthless here. Unless you intend to use it, in which case I'll make a fortune. That said, traditionally, payment for these kind of services is not directly in gold, but the rights and privileges to certain industries and actions. Money on the side.
Okay.
You want to cut?
We prefer to speak plain, not
Well,
riddles.
then to speak plainly, if you want me to keep the shadow trade under control, things like illegal contraband goods and poisons, I need to have the capability to sell limited quantities of this so that I can afford to pay my agents without it being directly tied back to you.
Seems fair enough.
You say you want to be a good people. What aren't you willing to sell and what aren't you willing to do?
So we've already kiboshed the slave trade, by the way, guys.
All people should be free to be themselves and to find work and thrive as they would. Yes, no slaves. The deadliest of poisons, I say that should definitely be repressed.
Poisons to help people, farm and keep animals off their land probably is okay.
Essentially, you would have us make laws that would forbid certain things, and then you would deal in trade of those things.
I'm not looking to make you forbid anything. It sounds like you have things you would like to forbid, and I would like to compensate on what you might bend on.
I feel like we're in a dangerous situation here where we're going to list a bunch of things that seem bad to us, and then she's going to feel that everything that we haven't listed is therefore fair game. So perhaps it would be
very reasonable. I understand this is a larger conversation than what we're just having here. I just want to know where your broad limits are and where you might be willing to allow a little compromise under the table. Look, you seem like nice people. And she looks at Tanira and looks at the rest of you. And it's clear that she isn't including Tanira in that.
That's perfectly okay with me.
You need to understand that the wheels need to be greased. And if I don't know how to grease those wheels, I can't do it on your behalf.
Is there a way that you can sort of list off some things that you think would
Why
be?
don't you
we'll sort of
think
go
on
through-
sleep on it? It doesn't need to be done today. I'm sure I can find some folks who are more than willing to get involved in this sort of business.
Sounds good to us. Shall we take our leave?
Sure.
Yep.
Onward.
All right, let's just head back to Dragonhold and think about all of this because I feel like we got nowhere with any of those things.
I mean, this is in Dragonhold, isn't it? It's just part of the estate of Dragonhold.
Well, you mean to the keep?
Yeah, to the keep.
To the keep?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. You passed
Okay.
many buildings that you've had get built, including the new tavern.
Yeah.
On your way to the keep. The keep looks so much better. The floors have been fixed up. The kitchen has been expanded into a 2-floor establishment now. It looks like there is some sort of aqueductorial water line coming from the decanter of endless water in the well that's in the barracks room, and now it delivers water through a pipe at the top of every room so that there's like a drinking faucet in every room now. On top of that, based on you walking in here, it feels like the floors are heated through steam heating or something like that. So the whole place has a sort of very warm feeling.
Take off my shoes.
Okay.
Yeah.
A dragon barrels past you guys as the librarian is on his way out the door and just like, oh yes, and the 2 holes in the walls and the exterior bathroom have both been removed, and a better bathroom has been built. But yeah, the dragon pushes past you through the front door and is just like, sorry, I'm just busy. Goodbye.
Well, seems like everybody's been getting along well without us.
Like
A few seconds later, an emerald dragon appears from around a corner, scampering, sliding along the newly put in floors, and says, "Where did the librarian go? I, the powerful one, will crush him."
Just point that way.
Oh, you're back.
Whoa, what's going on?
It's a dragon thing. You wouldn't understand.
Very angsty.
Okay, the powerful one launches himself over all of you out the door and continues to chase the librarian, screaming in Draconic about that was his sandwich. A very haggard, almost 2 years older looking Lucien Saint Gerard rounds the corner from the barracks into the entranceway and goes, "Hello, everyone. It is I, your steward, Lucien Saint Gerard. Ta-da!
Hello, Lucian. We know who you are.
Ta-da.
You haven't called me or contacted me.
That's because someone keeps stealing the stones.
Do you have the stone?
No, last I heard Babka had the stone, but that was several days ago.
That might be why we haven't contacted you.
The dragons keep stealing them and adding it to their hoard.
Well, we'll have to deal with that later.
Well, I'm watching after dragons who are children, military commanders who are children, coordinating over 1,000 laborers, and a bunch of elves arrived out of nowhere. We can't get anybody to pull up these stumps, and all the adventurers want to do around here is to go into basements to kill giant rats. There are no basements!
Therefore, no rats. Yes,
Oh, there are rats! Don't get me wrong, there are rats, but they're normal-sized, and they don't live in basements.
I always
know,
feel
I
like
could-
the dragons could make short work of the stumps.
I could do that as well. Magic, thunder waves, lightning bolts. We could blast those out of the ground, no problem.
I'm afraid
do
that
more
neither of
damage.
those will have much effect on stumps. I'm afraid that our primary attempts have been through using fire, but stumps are resistant to it at best.
What about teams of draft horses or oxen?
How have you been using the fire to burn out the stumps?
That's what I'm saying. We haven't been successful in doing that. The stumps
No,
are
sir.
resistant to being burned.
Are you creating like a burn barrel around the stumps and then using that?
No, we're drilling holes into the middle of the stumps and then trying to get some oil down in there and setting it on fire and surrounding it with kindling. Look, I'm not a stump removal expert, all right? Using my authority that you have left me, which is somewhat minimal since apparently I can't get into the throne room and get to the treasury, I authorized a newcomer who had found a mining strike to start a mine. So here's the financial reports. We're about to go deeply into debt, but the good news is that we're making about 500 gold pieces a month off of mining copper and selling it to Orishban.
That's something.
Mm-hmm.
It cost us almost 2,000 a month in order to upkeep all the military units here. 2,100 gold, precisely.
Well, let's put another thing on our list.
Could we export some of the lumber as well?
The lumber, for use anywhere else, it would need to be treated. I believe that Orishban may be a market for that, but all of our entreaties there were put aside because we are not the registered lords of Orishban, and frankly, a young baron there was waiting to hear back from you. You apparently promised him some sort of trade deal that I knew nothing about, so he was unwilling to exchange letters with me until the true lords had returned. I assume you spoke with him when you were recently in Orishban.
No.
We will drop the letter and send it immediately.
Very well.
You will be named as our representative, of course,
Sure.
and we will smooth things over.
Did you bring me
Then we
any
can-
weird monster parts?
No.
I feel like I didn't ask for much. The one thing I did ask for was weird monster stuff. Okay, very well.
Just normal monsters is what we fought.
I'm going to retreat to my wizard tower and take a break for the day. Welcome back, my lords. Here's your paperwork.
Thank
The
you for
dojo's on the
keeping
second
things in order.
floor, and you've attracted some students. They have all been following the dragon. It mostly orders them to sleep and do whatever they want and gather large piles of rocks.
Ugh. I hate it here already.
It's your
Thank you.
house.
Welcome home.
Yeah. It's like when you go on vacation, but you don't clean your house before you leave, and then you come back, and then you have
Please.
to like.
Please, you can't do this to me. Stop.
Oh, I guess I want to go to bed, but I'll go up to the dojo.
Okay. There are 4 students in there. All of them appear to live and sleep in here in its entirety. Many of them have little to no possessions beyond a bowl and a pile of rocks. When you come up, one of them is like, "Welcome to the dojo of the powerful one."
The powerful one, eh?
Yes, he is the master of this place. We are waiting for the Supreme Grand Master to rejoin us. You are welcome to wait here, especially if you are on a journey of finding yourself.
I suppose we're all trying to find ourselves. My name is Tanira. Can I get your names?
Wow, that's crazy. The Supreme Grand Master's name is also Tanira.
What a coincidence.
That is crazy. Imagine that, finding 2 people who have the same name.
Oh, we got a lot of work ahead of us.
Indeed. My name is Chaz. I've journeyed from afar in order to find the true martial art.
Well, Chaz, what kind of training have you been doing? I see you have some rocks.
I have been abstaining from many worldly pleasures. Also, I've been running a lot and gathering rocks. In order to understand what it is to hoard knowledge, I must also hoard material goods, like rocks.
Yeah. Have you tried placing the rocks one on top of the other to try to balance them? It's a good technique.
He immediately starts doing that. All of them begin doing that.
Thank God. So they could do that for the next day or so. Patience, young ones. The rocks shall balance eventually. And then come back to the group, I guess.
Okay.
I don't want to be in there with them.
They're your students. They've just been waiting for someone competent to teach them.
Yeah, I'll get to that.
They've been
I'll-
taught by a dragon who doesn't care.
I'm going to have to write a syllabus or something.
Syllabus. Yeah. What's the next step?
Anybody else got anything they want to do?
So we might need to sort out, like, so if we're putting Babka in charge of the army, we need to sort it out with the leader of the green, what are they called? Sorry,
Don't you also need to put the spirit of the
the
black
green
dragon
walkers.
into the land or whatever?
Well, I guess that's a conversation I need to have with Sparky. That's up to him.
I mean, I think we all have a lot to talk about if we all want to like get together and figure this out.
All right, time for a group huddle.
Time
Or like a round table in the hold, maybe, since they can't get in there.
That's been an hour.
We can open up the hold and let Sparky go reunite with his horde.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you releasing the black dragon into the land?
Well, that's a correct. So Sparky, what do you think? You hold the essence. It's I didn't really understand whether it's something you wanted to do or not want to do last time with the green dragon's essence.
Holding on to Ortholax's soul fills me with a loathing for all of existence and a want to destroy all of it. Releasing it into the land may be a good plan.
What will happen to the land?
I believe that it will get swampy.
What's
Probably not
going
great
on?
for us.
I mean, it doesn't need to be right at the, like, we can have multiple ecosystems around Dragonhold.
Could we create the swamp in the south? And this way it could be a natural barrier, a
I
defensive.
will attempt to guide it that way.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing, Lauren.
Okay.
I believe that one of the many groups around Dragonhold is camping in the south right now, so that may be disruptive to their living.
Oh, well, let's not do that.
How do you feel about the east or west?
It's in the east
Okay.
and the west.
Are there
The
people
roads
here?
to the east, is that right?
Yeah, I mean, there's roads in all cardinal directions.
Okay.
Roads can go through swamps.
Yeah.
Also, roads is a very generous way of describing everything that leads up to the base of your very nice castle.
Which direction is the roads that the Empire is building?
It is from the eastern road, and it leads northwest. Sorry, the western from Dragonhold. It is the western exit, and it comes from the north down southeast. In, oh my goodness, I feel like I'm not describing this very well. Orishban is north of you.
Yeah.
You follow the King's Road south, and then you split off southeast from there and enter the westernmost part of Dragonhold. So the western part of Dragonhold is where the King's Road will eventually attach from.
There anyone in the east?
So maybe put it in the
There's
east.
no one in the east, but there is a road out that way. It is the way you came in.
Yeah, I thought we approached from the east originally.
You approach from the east, and there is a game path through the mountains.
I was gonna say, like, put it in the direction of whatever direction the Empire's road is coming from. Since he's the one footing the bill, he's the one who can pay to build the road through the swamp.
Wow.
But wouldn't it be easier to put a natural barrier into a place that, since there's two entrances, we could just have that like as a natural barrier to that entrance, since there's nobody over there anyway?
I feel like east might be the best way.
Yeah.
Because we might need defense from that direction. If we're allied with the Empire and they're north, that's not as big a concern.
Mm-hmm.
We have people in the south,
Exactly.
so east would be a good defensive barrier. It's my thought.
All right.
I'm no general.
Yeah,
Neither are any of us.
No, we still need to sort the matter with the leader of the Green Walkers. He may not follow the bugbear.
But he follows Rython, and Rython will hopefully listen to us. So let's maybe all go and pay a visit to our favorite fainting friend.
Can we name the swamp after Rython?
So I think we're all agreed on the east.
Okay. I would like you to make an Arcana check.
Kiss me.
You're dragging.
Terrible at this.
Well,
Yep. Hello.
No.
Oh, it's almost
Oh, no.
14.
It wasn't.
you exit from the secret basement to go outside and take a look. Swamp water is beginning to leak from the ground everywhere, as the forests are now swamp forest, just like where the two dragons previously had a lair. It is not as disruptive as it might sound. Certainly, there are places one would not want to bog or offend, but it has added an extra layer of ecosystem and a sort of second thriving set of vegetation, which I think you see hundreds of people eagerly, especially the tavern folk, like whoever is in charge of the tavern is like submitting quests, like 1 gold, go find out what's out there, sort of deal. And like people are being dispatched in every direction to remap the area, find out what the new threats are. Lucian is dispatching people to gather ingredients and to test local stuff. Like this has become an adventure for a town that is run by adventurers. So
Okay.
no one's questioning why the area is suddenly swampy. It's a magical world. Weird shit just
I feel
happens.
we can tell. I think we can tell Lucian what we've done.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'd actually say, do you want to ask Lucian if he wants to watch Sparky disgorge the dragon's soul before?
I feel
Sparky does it?
like it's a private moment.
Yeah.
Also, Lucian doesn't know about the secret basement,
Yeah.
so
And it probably looks like a cat hacking up a furball.
That'll wake you up.
we are. I'm just gonna keep going. I really messed up the timings on breaks so far. There's only less than a half an hour left for tonight, so we're just gonna keep going. And
Okay.
unfortunately, live viewers will just get ads. My apologies. I got too into this episode.
Nailed it.
I specifically and verbally did not nail it.
That's the joke. Why are you saying
You're going to go visit Rython and the Hidden Valley Elves in their encampment in the north.
Yes.
They are adapting to the swamps poorly. Probably less well than any of the other people here. They are used to a cold, windswept, rocky environment, and now they are in a forest of trees, stubborn trees, and swamp water is appearing. So their whole encampment is like moving itself to try to cover as much dry land as possible.
They move up onto the mountain?
Rython is lying down on a stump that seems comfortably sized for him to lay on perfectly. And he, like, people come over him and shout problems, and he shouts solutions. The commander of the, I want to call them the Evergreen, but that's not correct.
The
Greenwalkers is seated nearby to him on a horse, just like looking at Rython sort of pensively.
Yo, man.
Hello, Rython. Greetings.
Daughter of our people, Gwenharia, I recognize your voice even if I have not the listful energy to sit myself up and gaze upon you directly. It would seem magic has beset your valley, and there are swamps now, even now. I fear that should I put one of my slippered feet onto the ground nearby, it may sink into cold, wet mud.
Indeed, that may happen. Perhaps the Greenwalkers could build a litter, a palanquin, something for you to transport you so that your slippers do not need to get muddy.
Why would I ask the Greenwalkers to construct something for me? They are experienced elven warriors.
Yes, and on their horses, they could definitely bear you around in regal style.
I am no regent. It is you who rule these lands. We are guests at your invitation.
I
I
so
am
enjoy
told
our
that
venturing.
My apologies, daughter. I am told that your Greenwalkers have pursued and perhaps even offended you. You must understand. He's young.
I'm still young myself.
Yes, but he's also hasty and stupid. He's saying this with this guy sitting on a horse, like right nearby.
Well, I glance over with a little smirk and I look up at him, at the commander of these.
He watches you impassively.
Mm-hmm. I look back to Rython and say, there were disagreements, but there have been resolutions, and I think if with you aligning with our plans, I will allow Godric to explain.
Very well. The situation has been explained to me by Godric in a screen wipe. So you would like me to order the Greenwalkers to obey the general staff that you have set before them?
Yes.
It is done.
Like right now.
Yes, I just said it. It's done.
Oh.
Very
That was
good.
quick.
Very good. I turn to the commander of the Greenwalkers. So we are now all in agreement.
So it would seem.
I know it may displease you, but if we are to defend these lands and build a better life for all peoples who are here, we must all work together. Units must be coherent.
I serve the hidden valley of the frozen north, so that elven traditions and knowledge of a distant people are not forgotten.
It will not be forgotten.
May I make a suggestion?
You may.
I mean, these elves will not stay here forever. I think that Babka has made a home here. And that's why we've asked him. But I think that if you feel at any point he could benefit from your experience, I would encourage you to share it. You have multiple of his lifetimes of experience, and this is his home, but he still needs the help and guidance.
Rython sits up and he says, "Actually, it was my plan to settle here permanently."
It has become a bit swampy and warm, humid, if you would. Will our people be able to adapt?
We have adapted to the north before. We have already begun singing to the trees, and soon our language shall be intertwined. In but a decade or two, this land will be filled with the elven protections that guided and guarded our people in the past.
Wonderful.
That's good.
One day
Never.
soon, I hope to be able to frolic pensively through the fields, knowing no robber bandit nor wolf will lay its hand upon me, nor paw. I was attacked by a wolf last week. It sucked.
Are you
At
okay?
least it wasn't a panther.
I sliced it in half with my magic sword.
I feel like you set us up for that one.
That seems worthy of a song, for sure.
Will the protection be for the whole valley or just your area?
I don't know. A lot can change in the next 10 to 20 years.
Indeed.
We'll see how we all are feeling.
Hey, quick group huddle.
Okay.
Rython, as much as he's a character in and of himself, has experience running a local government. Do we feel comfortable offering him a position, extending his we'll say leadership characteristics or leadership capabilities over the rest of Dragonhold?
I don't think it'd be a bad idea to at least put him have him have a seat on the council with us.
Yeah, I was thinking something like I don't want to say mayoral role, but like
I don't think just having us four make all the decisions and then telling people is the right way to go, because we've been trying to do that and we're just like
right.
kind of lost. I think
We
the
need
more people we get that are smarter than us, the better.
exactly.
yes.
Oh, and I kind of tell the group I sent a letter to our friend in the Dragon Army to see if they had any people that would be a good fit for us as far as leadership or generals or
No, that's a good idea.
officials.
That's a good idea. I was going to say, we need laws, and Rython has written laws before, so.
He has the time to write.
Maybe this
shall
might
make
help
them
shake him.
detailed and without loopholes. And his
Definitely have a couple
loquacious style.
Yeah, definitely have a couple Zoom meetings with him just to iron out the details.
Mhm.
I mean, we should offer it to him if he can always reject it if he doesn't want to do it. But
Yeah, Guinevere should definitely ask him.
Oh, all right.
I mean, he is your godfather, uncle.
You come to me on the day of my
No,
daughter's wedding.
he's your mayor.
Yes.
He's already a mayor, and just
He may or may
Oh,
not.
respected and noble elder.
Yes.
Leader to our people.
Yes, you're coming over to butter me up. I don't need
Of
to roll
course
an
I
insight
am. I
check
am glad.
to understand that you're about to ask me for something that you don't want to ask for.
Oh no, I do wish to ask for. I simply worry that you would say no and it would make me sad.
You are the spiritual leader of our people. You would have to ask for something really nasty or weird, sick stuff for me to say no.
Um,
Sounds like a
oh, I
challenge.
feel much better then. Rython, would you give us the honor of sitting on a council that will help rule these lands, to guide, to shape, to advise? We could use your experience and your knowledge.
Are you asking me as the lord of this land or as the blessed of the Canaan Star?
And if I say both?
I will do so.
Right then.
I've already begun writing a treaty about executive theory.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
I wrote it entirely in the ancient elven style of haiku.
For the record, Godric, I hate this plan.
It is currently 40 pages long.
I'm sure
Does
that
he
I can
have a
create a synopsis
page
of
long
it as time allows for those who are busied with other operations.
How does he have a 40-page long haiku?
Oh, it's
Just sitting on a
It's
rock
multiple
for like,
haikus. You know, each one is 3 lines and then space 3 lines. His thoughts on executive leadership and the privileges and responsibilities of a leader.
Okay.
He's been thinking a lot about it ever since his entire village was destroyed by dragons, and then they were, as an entire people, lulled into madness by a false hydra that was singing to them while all of the people died, and any visitors also died. And the people that came to fight the dragons also died. He's a very sad person, and he writes sad stuff all the time.
Mhm. I'm sure this will
Chat
make
is saying
an
font
excellent
size 5,000. It's one letter. It's not even multiple haikus. It's not even multiple lines. It's just one letter.
I hate it.
Thank you, Rython. Your wisdom will definitely benefit us all. Yes.
I appreciate the confidence with which you are saying that. I have come to the understanding that there are some among your group who do not respect me as much as you do. The sullen tiefling woman seems to consistently wish to die every time I open my mouth.
And that is her burden to bear, not yours.
I didn't say it was.
Exactly. Concern yourself not. That is my advice.
Is there anything else you require of me?
Simply to know do the people fare? Have they celebrated the return of my parents? Are they?
They have, but it is a lot of hard work here.
I know it is always hard work. But
Long
we have
lives of suffering ahead of us.
Yes. Think of the dirges we could create out of such work, such experience.
Think of the city we can acquire with all these different melting pots of people.
An excellent point, Nira.
That has traditionally either been a total disaster or really excellent for local culinary foods.
I'm hoping it's the latter.
Well, as long as you don't form some sort of republic, we'll be fine.
Right. Godric, what's a republic?
I think that's no, that's democracy. I was thinking where people vote on things.
In a republic, you vote for representatives.
Yes.
Democracy is where everyone votes on some issues.
Yeah.
Boy, we're going to do a civil lesson where a republic is a type of democracy, specifically a constitutional democracy.
I think we need to have the civilization rule that every change in lit government requires a period of anarchy.
Anarchy, yeah. I said that out loud.
Here is my question. Does this, and I'm asking this out of character, does this government have a patron god or goddess?
Nope.
I'm gonna say no.
That's a rough one. Most of the governments you've been so far do have such things.
If we're building a council of various representatives, should we not have a pantheon?
I was gonna say, I know that it's unusual. I have been mocking republics at least twice tonight, and I know it's unusual to say that you are guided by gods, but I want to remind you, in the Dungeons and Dragons worlds, gods are very real and regularly perform acts of miracles. It would be more unusual to not have a favored deity or pantheon to protect you.
I think that what we need to have is a high-ranking religious leader, and whatever deity they bring in is the one we have as such. But so they sit on the council, and by extension, they pray to their god for Dragonhold, even though Dragonhold remains an open denominational environment.
Sure. I would point out that's almost exactly how the Empire works.
Yeah,
That sounds like our little warlock friend we just met.
Yes, all of the qualifications you know that they have to serve on the council, which are they have a patron god.
we need to find it. We need to find a cleric who'll come here, basically.
Yeah.
I know a cleric.
Yeah. Godric and I both have our level of cleric. It's pretty different from being spiritual leaders. It's like saying having our level of fighter becoming a general.
I mean, I have 3 levels of clerik.
I mean, look,
wow, okay.
if he picked Battlemaster instead of Echo Knight, I would have for sure said that he was trained as a general, but he was not.
Nope.
Yep. He could lead a clone of himself.
It's the clone army.
Is there anyone else you want to meet with for the formation of this council?
What's that wizard's name again? We probably...
Lucien Saint Gerard. He's already on the council, though. You promised him a position when you hired him.
Well, I think
until we get like
our elf, our alchemist. There's 3, and that's a good number to start. And
sorry. You're adding Lucien Saint Gerard. You are adding Rython.
yes.
You're also, it's not clear to me, you are adding Vitoro Cognac Casker?
No.
Who's the third?
Bugbear?
Yeah,
Oh,
Babka.
Babka. I mean, if he's going to look after the military concerns,
Do we ask the rogue to join the council?
No, not yet.
No,
we don't know them as well yet.
We haven't decided on
member.
payment
Yeah,
laws.
it's more of a freelancer at the moment.
I was going to say we can set her up with like a shell company. We have the draft horses and the wagons.
We should also let Rython know about her so that he makes sure when he builds the laws, he builds in loopholes that we can utilize.
She can exploit for money and corruption. Yeah.
No, just money.
No corruption.
What do you think corruption is? As you are preparing to have your meeting of the council, someone bursts through the front doors of the keep and says, "It's happened. It's incredible. I can't believe it."
Who is busting through the front door?
I mean, you are in the throne room, so they're at least 3 rooms away from you, but the person that you hear sounds like they have an Elvish accent.
Oh, I better go.
Definitely figure it out.
You go see. There is a wild-haired, half-elven man. He's wiry, a little shorter than either a human or an elf normally would be, wearing a sort of smock and has a pickaxe and a shield on their back crossed, and he's like running a glove through his hair in which he's just putting like black coal dust in his hair by accident. He goes, "Where are they? I heard that the lords were around." And he runs up to all of you and says, "Where are the lords? I need to find people who run this place. I heard they came."
We are the lords.
"Oh, amazing. My name is Rant the Wayseeker. Something incredible just happened. I opened a mine underneath this castle area, and it turns out there was a huge load of copper there, which I've been removing in order to sell on your behalf. But as I was down there, just a few hours ago, a massive strike of zinc became available as well. I burst through a hole, a load, and it's incredible. We can make brass. We can produce brass here. We can make all sorts of incredible local brass works. If only we had a brass guild. We need a forgers guild. And someone who can do something with zinc. And honestly, if we were able to do something locally with the copper, we would probably get a much better return than selling it to other people, of course.
It's not a bad idea, Godric.
I was gonna say, didn't I build a blacksmith guild?
Sure you
Yes, but more than a blacksmith, you need an independent forgers guild to turn zinc and copper into brass.
Okay.
The blacksmith guild specifically works with end product. You hand them iron, they make you a sword or a chandelier.
We need something to make the ore into the...
You need a specialist in order to chemically process the ore. So your mine now produces 100 gold pieces a month. And as Rant is, frankly, ranting at you, he indicates that the mine can now sustain the improvement of the equipment of some of your units by 1 level. So a light unit becomes a medium becomes a heavy. Since the mine is now level 2, you can support 2 different units or do 1 unit, 2 bumps. So you could turn a light infantry unit into a heavy infantry unit.
Or
for
2.
instance.
Got 1. You know what else is found near copper is gold.
I am going to tell you that the formation of both of these minerals is directly related to the dragon souls.
Okay. No worries.
So you will not randomly find gold here if up until you put a red dragon soul in the ground.
Ah. I guess I know what our next adventure needs to be.
I know, right? Probably shouldn't
Do we
leave here
have
too
any
soon.
way to in character figure out that knowledge?
Make an Arcana check.
I'll let you make it on your
It's all Godric.
Where are we at?
Yeah, make Godric do the Arcana check.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
use my GM
You're the one who
inspiration.
asked. Oh, yeah, sure. Use your inspiration. Give yourself advantage. You got
I
a 10. You don't know about the red dragon thing, but you do believe the dragons are involved.
Okay.
It's no coincidence
The
that
timing's too perfect.
yeah, when the swamps appear, the brass and zinc comes into play. There's no way that's a coincidence.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've been speaking a lot. Okay, you get the same idea, Tanira. Right, you guys are just spending these inspirations like water. Perfect. That's what they're there for. You know, Rad used to tell me I don't give people inspiration enough. Now I give it to them all the time.
Yeah. I tried to save it, but then, we had to talk down someone be punched.
Yeah, well, you know what? James, I'd like to not have to reroll constantly in Blood Bowl, but that's not how life works. Yeah, Rant just kind of powers down after running out of things to talk to you about. His ADHD chills out.
Yeah.
He runs out of steam.
Get it to write it all down so we can start to act on it.
Yeah, well, he seems really socially anxious now and just kind of wanders off in the middle of the conversation looking stupefied.
Again, with focus.
That's good. Well,
Is he working the mine by himself, or are there people down there working it with
There
him?
are other people that work down there.
Okay.
I say we give him what he needs. And
yeah. Do we have the money for it?
I mean, he works for Lucian, so Lucian has already funded this mine, and the mine funds itself and more. It is a self-sufficient enterprise.
So do we have enough to make a smelter delta guild?
It would require 8,000 gold to invest.
Oof. That's a no.
You have a population and employee problem. You have a lot of buildings and some infrastructure, and you don't have enough people that live here yet. Everything is running at lower levels of production than it could be.
Gotcha.
You've used money to solve a lot of problems, but money can't buy you love in this case.
We tried that if we build it, they will come approach, but now we actually need to go and recruit people to come here.
I mean, people will make their way here, but it's not like a huge wave of migrants will immediately descend upon you. You know what I mean? Like, you got to give it time.
Or incentives.
Sure. You did give incentives, free housing.
And we're here now.
And jobs. And you have over 2,000 people that live here locally. Most of them violent murderers.
Law number 1: no murdering anybody.
No murders.
That will be a very difficult law to enforce, given the huge number of adventurers.
But I feel like getting farming happening is pretty important, which is why stumping is important.
The stumping, yeah.
And I think the dragons are probably the fastest way, if they're large dragons, to tear out stumps. I mean, it'll damage their soil, but it's.
Is this the meeting of the first council?
Yes.
I guess with 5 minutes to go, sure.
So as you go to sit down and have the council, you receive word that for the last few hours, no one has heard anything of the elves that go in and out of the area to gather resources. So like the first original 100 elves who go out and try to bring back enough food. As the sun is beginning, so because you're surrounded by mountains, this is very West Virginia, but the sun sets very early because it slips behind the mountains. As the sun is beginning to set, you can see that there are banners being raised at each road entrance to the northeast, south, and west. To the west is raised the banner of Lord Ortholax. To the south is raised the banner of 3 of the merchant princes of the Hobgoblin Kingdoms and the Goblin Big Boss. To the east is raised the banner that has a hand on it and an eye set in the middle of the hand. And to the north is raised no banner, but instead you can see huge ogres that are clad in super heavy plate mail, and they have siege breaking equipment. Like, they are big enough and have the kind of equipment that will bust through buildings.
I guess we might have supplies that we can take.
Hundreds of armored knights, hobgoblins, dragonborn, and thousands of zombies and skeletons begin pouring through the passes to siege Dragonhold and cut it off from the rest of the world.
Fuck.
All right, you said from the south was Ortholax, the east was the hand banner with an eye on it.
Yep.
The ogres are coming in from which way?
North.
Sorry, west is Ortholax.
Ortholax was west. North was the ogres. East was the hand, and then south was the what's the last one?
South is the merchant princes. It should also be noted that you very obviously see Skakosha riding from the south. The White Rider tribe has also joined the siege.
What did we do?
They're all in cahoots.
I will remind you, Ortholax, when he was dying, was like, "I'll get my vengeance."
Over your dead body. Hey! Boom. Okay.
I mean, yes.
The final revelation will be that the person carrying Ortholax's banner is the Dragonborn Knight who you fought in this very building.
Mm-hmm.
What? He dies first.
No, he carried himself with honor. We knew this was
we let him go.
And then he sided with Ortholax and sealed his fate.
He was already sided with Ortholax.
Oh.
I'm going to just let you know that
beforehand.
he doesn't side with Ortholax. Ortholax is his dad. So.
Oh.
Oh!
I didn't realize that.
Figured.
Or else he would have died already.
Was his dad?
Yeah, I mean, yes, it's all going to come out as part of a letter that formally declares war here. But yeah,
Okay.
So I feel like your first council meeting, you sit down to discuss some really mundane matters, and it instead becomes the receival of a declaration of war and intent to siege. Hey, welcome to the end of the episode, guys.
I hated coming back home. We should have stayed. We should have stayed away.
Next time, we're going to go through the process of seeing if you would like to raise any levies to bolster your armies. And then we will go through the opening moves of talking about how initiative works and whether you want to defend in the field or inside the keep. So while the walls are totally worthless right now, the central keep is quite defensible. You'll notice the keep has its own card. That said, if you defend from the keep, you are surrendering all ground outside the keep, which is 90% of the town, to siege, raid, and looting. Yeah, it's a rough time. It's a rough time. Welcome to Strongholds and Followers.
Yeah.
Hey, we got to meet all... Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I feel like these are 4 groups that have been pulled together by circumstance, and that, you know, I know it's not part of the siege system, but to try and get infiltrators in there to create dissent among them should be not easy, but certainly like not as hard as other. Like effectively, there are other ways to win the battle than purely force of arms.
Hey, I'm all for it. This is Dungeons and Dragons. We can make it a roll.
Yeah.
You got a whole week to think about it. Maybe 2 weeks? Are we not back on next week?
No, I'm not going to be here next week.
Yes, that's what I thought. I thought we would not be here. You got 2 weeks to think of a clever strategy to employ in between your siege combats.
Have you ever noticed to come up with a clever strategy?
James has come up with some whack shit before.
Well, there's a certain ranger with a certain octopus who could certainly lead hit and run sneak attacks.
I want to be clear that your dad is quite powerful, but there are thousands of skeletons and zombies in the east, and with one exception, most of the enemy units facing you, each of them individually, have hundreds of people in them. So, like, he's strong. He's not strong enough to survive a sort of 300 blot out the sun arrow sort of deal.
Yeah, but he's leading subterfuge, sneaking through the swamps.
I just want to make it clear that if you send him to do this and he gets discovered, he will be dead.
We just need him to assassinate Skorkosha.
Skakosha? Yeah. Okay. I will point out that Skakosha is one of the highest level people on this whole field, but yes, your father is higher level than him. We will
rally. We will plan.
They are both archers. Maybe they can enter into some sort of archery duel. I bet Skakosha's a real honorable guy.
You know what? He's only got to distract Skakosha long enough for the octopus to sneak up.
I hate everything about that plan.
Any closing thoughts here?
We're all gonna die.
About the session or just life in general?
Just in general. I want to point out, Bearded, I've been on this show before. I've been on many shows before. The players rarely die. But if you do die, no season 3, it will be a super sick siege where you all die. It will be incredible. I'll also say this before we go into closing thoughts for this session. The next 2 weeks, it would behoove you to read the warfare section in Strongholds and Followers. You may want to know how the combat works. Because it does not work like traditional D&D combat. Units have a casualty die size. Most of your units have a D6 or a D8, and every time they take a hit of damage, they lower that by 1, so an 8 would become a 7. And when a 1 becomes a 0, you check to see whether they rout and completely flee or they miraculously rally and stay standing.
Does it actually have rules for like regular PCs affecting results, or is it purely separated system?
You give people orders. Okay. So you need to make a choice between leading units directly as commanders, or whether you want to take more traditional sneaking around adventuring type stuff. So for instance, if your whole party wants to abandon controlling the siege, all of your units will essentially just fight with no coordination together. If 2 or 3 of you do it, you'll be able to issue that many orders, and then the rest of the members will be able to do something like lead a party to assassinate Skakosha.
I mean, they already sort of fight all on their own anyway.
But if you're asking me if one person can fight 800 skeletons at one time, no.
Yes.
No, but
No.
there's things like whether like some spells might have effect, for example, or
I agree that that's possible. I don't think any of you have that. For instance, weather control or moonbeam or some crazy
even
sick
things,
shit like
even
that.
things like entangle can sort of like affect a battlefield, but not on a macro scale.
I mean,
anyway.
entangle only lasts for like a minute, though, right? It's not like it lasts a whole hour, sort of deal. I would certainly make alterations and accommodations for such high level spells, but I'm going to be honest with you. There is someone in town who is extremely capable of, as a solo PC, fighting hundreds of people, and it's not who you think. It's actually Vitoro Cognac Cask.
That's who I would have thought.
Yeah, I was about to say.
He's a warlock with Eldritch Blast, which means he can shoot people from hundreds of feet away an unlimited amount of times.
Yeah, every 6 seconds.
Yeah.
What?
It's ironic because no warlock has ever fought in a war, and yet warlocks are the most capable war-fighting class because they can use their class assets an unlimited amount of times, unlike everyone else. Fighter blows all their shit in like 3 rounds, and then they're just a guy with a sword with a lot of hit points. Will Vitoro Cognac Cask fight a war for you? Probably not. He just met you. And I wouldn't say you were mean to him, but you also weren't best friends.
Yeah. I mean, I can shoot 2 arrows every turn indefinitely, but yeah, but still.
Yeah. What happens when you run out of arrows?
I've got an unending quiver.
Well, motherfucker, I guess you're a new warlock. Got an unending quiver. Who do I sound like? Closing thoughts for this episode, friends. I feel like me and Neil Buzzard are ready to just go to sleep.
Yeah.
I feel like we achieved a lot, but we actually didn't.
You met a ton of people.
And accomplished nothing.
Nothing.
We had a lot to catch up on. I thought that this entire episode would be taken meeting people and going home, which is exactly what it did.
Yep.
I was certain that you would not get to the war combat stuff, and I knew we wouldn't.
Yeah, I didn't think we would either. I think it was sort of floundering with a lot of the NPCs and how to deal with them.
Yeah, I'm not a politician. I honestly wanted to go to the Adventurers Guild like halfway in. Just be like, I'm ready to fight a dragon, guys.
We need more money. Let's go. And
We do.
Roderick is not the highest charisma character, and I try to play him as such.
Same.
So it's like, okay, well, I got to talk to a room full of soldiers that don't like each other. My best thought was, here's a circle who wants to fight.
And you treated the guy who said, what does that have to do with leadership? Like he was crazy.
No, I treated him like that because his first thought was like, what are we going to do? Douse ourselves with scorpions? Like, where
You
are we just
wanted to
going to
prove,
randomly
you
get
said we
buckets
need
of
to prove who's
scorpions?
more brave, right? And that would be a way to prove you're more brave.
Yeah.
No,
Just
that's
go on to
just-
Fear Factor.
Yeah, no.
You have a
That's,
fear
that's
factor.
silliness.
Joe Rogan's going to show up and
Yeah,
start
with like
yelling
a
at us.
box of like a coffin worth of worms, and we just both lay in them.
Yes. Joe Rogan, a man who's professionally kicked in the head. A man whose job was for many years enticing people to eat bugs. Yes, that's who I want to get advice from.
For money.
Yes, sure. Do you accept advice from people whose job is to get kicked in the head for money?
Mike Tyson.
Yeah. Do you have a lot of good Mike Tyson life lessons?
Yes.
Name one.
Oh. Oh.
Name one.
I'll explain it to you next time in 2
Oh
weeks.
my god.
Cliffhanger.
What are you gonna do when 2 weeks passes and the first thing I ask you at the beginning of the next episode is tell me about that Mike Tyson lesson, huh? What are you
Well,
gonna
I'll have
do?
one.
I actually know a
think it's-
professional boxer, and a life lesson he taught me was retired prize fighters have a really hard time getting health insurance.
Yeah, I
If you're
bet.
if you're a friend to everyone, you're an enemy to yourself.
Okay. I don't know what to do with that.
Everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face.
Now
You said
that
you
is a
said that on
pretty
the
good
podcast.
life lesson. I'll admit, you
Yep.
got me there.
I use that quote a lot.
All right. We'll be back in 2 weeks or more, friends. It'll be time for some kingdoms, some strongholds, some followers, and some warfare. But specifically, even though I said the words kingdom and warfare, we won't actually be using kingdoms and warfare. That's the follow-up book to Strongholds and Followers.
Yeah.
Have a good night or day.
Bye.
Time zone.